Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, people from all over. Welcome to Kenya News Link. Of course, I'm your host, Jex, the moderator, and this is your night evenings edition. Welcome, everyone. I hope you are fine and this finds you quite okay. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of this great conversation we are about to have here at Kenya News Link. I know you have been waiting for this show, and I am glad that you have made us number one in all our platforms. Asante Sana, thank you for joining us. And we have a great and interesting show just about now. We are looking at so many topics tonight, and we will be discussing things that have informed and shaped our politics in as far as the move by Raila Odinga is concerned, the new bromance between him and William Ruto is concerned. Those are the things that we'll be looking at in this evening's edition. I have a great show lined up for you with great panelists coming in to have a great discussion. This is a topic you really don't want to miss. This is a show you don't want to miss because why? This is a show that we will dive into the heart and the depth of politics making headlines. Why Martha Karua has issued a statement that already has sent tongue waggings. Many are already asking themselves very pertinent questions. With the move and with the new dalliance between William Ruto and Raila Odinga, could this mean the end of AZIMIO, the end of UDA as we know it? Could this signify serious troubles in AZIMIO and equally serious troubles in Kenya Kwanza? Those are the things we'll be looking at in this wonderful show. Welcome to this show. I know you are doing well, and let me know where this is finding you, okay? Consider subscribing to Kenya News Link and also being part of this great conversation just about to happen here at Kenya News Link. I'll be letting you know how you join us here in studio and equally how you make sense of the conversation we are about to have. All right, so let's just dive into the matter. The move by Raila Odinga to vie for the chairperson of African Union Commission has really elicited a lot of heated debate here in Kenya, and many are finding it difficult, one, to cope with what that news really means. Of course, the supporters of Raila Odinga, some really have embraced the decision, others are yet to come to terms, others are still debating and finding a way of living with that decision. Why? Because this is a man who has informed our politics for the last nearly 3 decades of our elections and also all our politics. So, what does his move mean? What does it even mean to Azimio as we know it? We have already seen people from Wiper asking not to be bullied, asking not to be pushed in Azimio. In any case, they are saying their candidate, one Kalonzo Musyoka, is equal to the task, and he should be allowed to be the rightful and the bona fide successor of Raila Odinga now that he's moving to Addis Ababa. The other question that is equally interesting is the move and the push by one of Raila's close family member, that is one his wife, Ida Odinga, equally his brother, one Oburu Odinga. Them, they seem to be pushing for a different twist of persons. We have them asking for John Badi, that is Laila's wife, asking for John Badi, and equally Raila's brother campaigning, or rather pushing for the minority leader, that is one Mr. Opio Wandai. So those are the things we'll be looking at. And it's interesting that now Martha Karua is calling for another retreat, terming it Limuru 3. I'll be telling you what Limuru 3 is and what it even means. Is there some degree of discontent within Azimio? Are we seeing the principals now trying to move their own ways simply because they feel either it's either me, or it's either my party, or it's either my team, or no other person? Because we have Kalonzo Musyoka, we have Martha Karua, they are all people who have supported Raila in almost equal measure. Raila Odinga has been supported by Kalonzo Musyoka 3 times to vie for presidency. Martha Karua was the recent running mate for Raila Odinga. So what would the move by Raila Odinga mean? Who even replaces him? Who even really becomes the flag bearer if Azimio will stand the test of time? Gachagua equally is a disgruntled man. I'll be telling you more about it even as you sit back, relax, and enjoy, because this show, I'm telling you, you is a good one. There is a lot we'll dive into. We'll dive into Mount Kenyan politics. We'll dive into succession in as far as ODM is concerned. We'll dive into AZIMIO as an outlook. We'll look at what happens to Kalonzo Musyoka. Today he was in Nakuru and he was with one Eugene Wamalwa. What does that new relationship between the two even signify? Those are the things that we'll be looking in this evening show. So consider sitting down, relax, enjoy, and let us really inform you with the candid debate about to ensue here at Kenya Newslink. Welcome, everybody. All right. I don't know where this is finding you, but I'll really be glad if we can engage us even on the comment section and equally tell us how this show is finding you and your sentiments in as far as Raila Odinga's move is concerned. I know this is a topic that will really, really be there for quite some time until the elections are held there about next year. This is a topic that will really be interesting to look at. I'm telling you, already some have begun issuing their support to Raila Odinga, that is the president of Sudan, the president of South Africa, the president of Tanzania and Uganda. And next week, thereabout, Raila Odinga has said that he'll be moving to Rwanda to seek the vote for one president, Mr. Paul Kagame, who equally will be very vital for him to have that vote. Okay, I am telling you, it is interesting, and I wish to hear your sentiments and your feedback. I'll be having some panelists joining me, but let's listen into news that have informed this show and equally what has informed our thumbnail. Where do we begin? Let's begin from here. That the new bromance between William Ruto and Raila Odinga could seriously mean a shift, a change, and possibly a break in some of this coalition as we know it, Kenya Kwanza being one of them, AZIMIO being the next one. I'm telling you, this is going to be interesting. This is one to see. This is one to sit down, watch, and ask yourself, what could this mean? What could this even really mean? Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at. So let's begin with this first footage, and then I'll be inviting my guest to join us. So kindly sit back, relax, enjoy. This is where you don't touch the dial. You don't scroll to any other channel. You sit, enjoy all the piece we have prepared for you here at Kenya Newslink. Karibisha wawili watatu kwa kulike, subscribe na kwa kushare hii video. Welcome so much. Have a nice, interesting show, even as we cruise through this nice conversation.
The Law Society of Kenya headquarters. We'll be going for more details a bit later, but moving on to other stories. AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga is set to leave the country again for Rwanda to seek President Paul Kagame's vote in his bid to solidify the East African bloc ahead of the February 2025 AU Commission polls. Now, Raila, who spoke in Kisii County, said he will not mind coming back from Addis Ababa if his people required his services in local politics. As KTN's political affairs reporter Emmanuel Cho now reports, a section of AZIMIO leaders from Mount Kenya region is currently planning a Limuru 3 meeting scheduled for April to chart their way following the new political developments.
The opposition chief Raila Odinga is ramping up his campaigns across the continent as he seeks to have the full backing of the East African community countries. Odinga is set to leave the country just days after he jetted back from Namibia and Uganda with a vote-hunting mission to Rwanda to lock in the 7 votes in the East African community.
Sasa mimi wiki ijayo hii naenda kuona na Kagame. Kagame vile vile nataka aingie ndani. Mama Suluhu tayari amesema ako tayari atanipiga kura. Sasa bwana Salva Kiir amekubali. Sasa hii bara hii yote Afrika Mashariki yote nataka kufiaka.
Kwa hivyo baba simekubali hata akikaa kwa ile kiti arudi atushauri. Si atushauri.
Wakati unatembea na rais, mkumbushe yale mambo. Sisi wananchi wa hapa chini bado tunaumia. Sivyo?
Speaking at Marani Town in Kitutu Church and North Constituency, Kisii County, when he officially opened the Marani Town Aggregation and Marketing Center Thursday, Odinga said this is a continuation of a thorough campaign ahead of his formal bid in April.
Alafu naenda kule kusini, juzi nimekuwa na ule na Ramaphosa amesema ndio. Sawa. Shekedi amesema ndio. Sasa sawa. Sasa mimi naona yule ambaye atatoka tutamanyana naye toka kiwanja.
And with jitters from his AZIMIO camp rising, the former Prime Minister says he will always be available for guidance and if need be, come back for local politics.
Baba haendi mahali. Sawa. Nikienda Addis Ababa hapa ni saa 2 tu na ndege. Nalala hapa Kisii, asubuhi natoka na ndege, saa 4 nimefika kule, nafanya kazi. Siku Friday mimi narudi. Sasa mimi niko hapa. Na mkinitaka kwa kazi ile nyingine yote, mimi niko. Nasema hiyo ikae kwanza, mimi nitakuja kufanya hii wananchi.
Mimi kama gavana mlinipigia kura nyingi, lakini vitisho imekuwa nyingi. Nitaomba tafadhali wananchi watukufu wangu, mnikumbuke katika maombi kwa sababu safari iko mbele ni ngumu.
Odinga must, however, navigate through a tricky draft amendment that seeks to block countries that have had representation at the AU Commission from seeking election. Kenya and Rwanda have held the deputy chairperson positions. If the amendment is ratified by AU member states, Tanzania may have a head start since it has not had representation in the top organ. This comes as a section of Mount Kenya leaders now plan to have a retreat in Kiambu County, Limuru 3 on April 20th to chart the way forward for the region in light of the latest political developments.
We are having regular team meetings to seek to forge unity of purpose, to look at the issues affecting our people.
The housing bill, they still passed it. Yet the Kenyans who voted for them had rejected it. So among those issues and many other issues.
The meeting, which is expected to bring together 13 political parties, both from Kenya Kwanza and AZIMIO coalitions, is set to have a discussion with the option of staying or leaving AZIMIO said to be on the table. Emmanuel To, KTN News, Nairobi.
Let's now head to neighboring Tanzania, where Tanzania is.
All right, and equally we pass our condolences to the fallen former president of Tanzania, who has this evening lost his life. I'm equally joined on stage by one Mr. G, Honorable Lex, and of course Mkenya. Karibuni sana wadau. This is your evening's edition. We are looking at so many things, including that meeting called by Martha Karua, the Limuru 3, the proverbial Limuru 3, where 13 parties, including those in Kenya Kwanza, have purpose to meet. I think they're about in the month of April to discuss issues pertaining unity of purpose, as Martha Karua is calling it, and equally to discuss the way forward in as far as staying or leaving AZIMIO is concerned. All these are probably informing why Martha Karua has been missing in action, or even when she's there, we are not yet sure where she stands. And I'm telling you, Rigi G, I'll be playing something about him just now. I am really excited about this show because I want you to really get a feel of what it means for Raila Odinga to leave and vie for the AUC chairperson. What it will really mean in as far as politics and it's concerned here in our country. To join us in studio, there is a link that I've sent to you that appears in the comment section. That link sends you directly to StreamYard, where you activate a mic, you activate a camera, and equally write a name, and then you find yourself here in studio. Once you click enter, you have to activate those two so as for me to add you here in studio. With me, I have Mr. G, Alex, and equally Mkenya. Mr. G, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Karibu sana kwa hii show.
Nasalimia Alex. Nasalimia sana, nafurahi kuwaona.
All right.
I don't know Mkenya sijamjua, but I think
tutamjua tu saizi. All right. Alex, good evening. How are you?
I'm fantastic and I thank God for this day. As you can see, eventually I'm out of the hospital. I'm looking much better, excited, and looking forward to help in this time.
Okay, fantastic. Mkenya Daima, how are you? Mkenya, I think ni Mkenya, si Mkenya Daima. How are you, Mkenya?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. I think I now know you, but karibu sana. I think I should start even with you, given you're the lady in the show. How are you, Angela? Allow me to call you by the name, but let me call you Mkenya as you have called yourself. What do you make of, wacha tuanze na Matakarua. Matakarua anasema ataitisha mkutano Rimuru, na atakusanyisha vyama kama 13 hivi, zingine pia bado ziko katika chama cha UDA. Huu mwamko wa Martha Karua, je, inaashiria kwamba anaweza kuwa na nia ya kuondoka Azimio now that baba ako karibu kwenda nchi kufanya kazi Addis Ababa?
Anaweza kuwa na hiyo nia ya kutoka juu. Of late amekuwa amenyamaza, haongei, hasikiki mahali popote, but amesikika the last minute, but on my own opinion, naona ni kama hana nguvu vile, hata akiita vyama 10 na kitu, lakini hana nguvu vile. Martha Karua chama chake Sininaka Kenya, ako na wabunge wangapi bungeni, maseneta wangapi? Unajua, unaangalia hiyo ndio unajua umaarufu wa mtu na nguvu za mtu. Juu the other day I was watching another clip ya huyu governor wa Trans Nzoia Natembeya. Alikuwa anasema umaarufu wa chama ni wakati wa election, unaangalia mtu hii chama chake kama ni Ford Kenya, ako na wafuasi wangapi bungeni. Huwezi kuwa tu uko na umaarufu na hauna mfuasi yeyote, naona. I think pia hiyo inachangia.
Okay.
So mi kwa maoni yangu, hata kama ataita, lakini ako na upungufu fulani kiasi ya kisiasa. Anahitaji support mahali mtu mwingine back up mwenye ako more strong than her.
Lakini usisahau Mkenya huyu alikuwa mwanadada ambaye alikuwa running mate wa Raila Odinga. Hauoni kama hiyo peke yake inampa nguvu ambayo unasema hana?
Alikuwa running mate wa Raila Odinga, that's why nimekuambia anataka another strong politician mwenye ako juu yake ampe backup. That's why Raila Odinga alikuwa amempea backup, because Raila Odinga is famous, is strong, understand baba venye ako kwa siasa zake. Yes. That's why alikuwa na baba karibu na wakaelewana na baba. Alafu tena pia bado usisahau ya kwamba Martha Karua aliwekwa pale just because baba alikuwa ni Uhuru alimuweka pale kwa baba. Unaona? Kufunika macho baba kitu fulani. Na akafunika baba na akamweza. You know? Hivyo ndo walicheza baba.
So kulingana na wewe walimcheza baba, haikuwa ni kwamba ati akona uzito fulani ama analeta ubabe fulani wa kisiasa huyo akiwa Martha Karua. Hakuwa na uzito wote ambao alileta kwa Azimio.
Hakukuwa na uzito wowote. Hii ilikuwa ni game Uhuru ameplan na akachezea baba.
All right. Mr. G, Martha Karua ameitisha mkutano ya Rimuru 3 ita happen mwezi wa 4 kwa sababu ya vile ambavyo Raila Odinga anaenda Addis Ababa. Of course wanajaribu kudiscuss what could have cost ama what is the best course forward. Wanajaribu kuangalia kama watasalia Azimio ama wata move out. Of course kuna watu pia kwa UDA wako na mixed feelings, na kuna vyama karibu 13 kwa sasa wanasema wanakunywa chai, lakini wanapanga kukutana ili kujadili njia ya kwenda mbele. Tumemwona Jeremiah Kioni juzi kwa gazeti alikuwa anasema ya kwamba ni vyema ndio Raila Odinga anaenda Addis Ababa, lakini hawakushauriwa yeye pamoja na Mwangi wa Iria. Nikana kwamba hii swala la Raila kwenda nchi nyingine kama AU chairperson iliwakuta kama surprise. Hawakuwa wanajua lolote kwa sababu iliwashtua. In any case, yes walimpongeza, lakini walikaa kama wameshtuka. Je, unaona kama huu mkutano wa Martha Karua utaibua hisia mseto, italeta watu kuamua kuhama Azimio, kujiunga na create what we were calling the third force? What do you make of this new move by Martha Karua?
Okay, thank you Mr. Jakes. Before even I come to that answer, okay, sijamjua Mkenya vizuri, but I think I will disagree with some of the points ambayo ameongea, even though kuna zingine ameongea vizuri, but I will really disagree. Kwanza on issue ya sijua Uhuru alicheza baba kwa kuweka nini pale, kwa kuweka Martha Karua pale. That is not even a fact, kwa sababu we know how things were. We had people, it was around 5 people. I think there were 5 how many people who were to stand with Baba as vice president, na kulikuwa na ule mama mkora bali tulimnominate alafu akatwepa. Ule mama anaitwanga shibe ama anaitwanga aje huyu
Sabina Chege ama nani?
Ndio huyo. Yeah. So we had people. Yeah, we had people. Mtu kama Kalonzo. I think you people, you saw how Kalonzo alituchezea. Tukimwambia akuja anatuambia Mr. Kuja. At time came akaenda mpaka akasimama sija akachukua deputy president wake siji from Masai siji from where, wakati tunamhitaji kwa mkutano huku yeye ameenda ameweka nini yake pale atanaronji pia siji presidential bid yake na ako na deputy president yake, sisi tunamhitaji. Kukawa na mambo ya interview, still the guy came out akasema mimi siwezi enda that interview. Sisi tulikuwa tunajua hakuji interview, tunamuona asubuhi tayari ashafika mtu wa kwanza kufika kwa hiyo meeting. So it was a lot of confusion ambao tuwezi sema kuwa ati ilikuwa ni gameplay pale. No, Baba knew what he was doing, and for him to choose Martha Karua, I think Martha Karua had a factor kwa hiyo mkutano, kwa hiyo post ambayo alipewa kama deputy president, kwa sababu by that time tulikuwa hatuko sure kama kwanza anaenda kuwa mtu wetu, tulikuwa hatuko sure kabisa kama nani atatubak, Kalonzo Musyoka atakubak. Yeah, we knew that he is coming, but we are not 100% sure, kwa sababu angekuja mara tulikuwa tunamwona ataki ni kama sijana anafanya nini, hatukumuelewa. So it was not a game. Martha Karua was the best choice for Baba as deputy president kwa watu ambao walikuwa pale wote. Yeah, and choosing Martha Karua, it brought a sense. Unajua nimesikia vile mama ameongea, na that's why nimesema I'm disagreeing with some of his point. Mama ameongea kama vile watu huwa wanachukua wanawake. We have a group of people ambao huwa wanachukua wanawake kama a weak people, and yeah, I just say weak people. Wanachukua wanawake kama watu ambao hawawezi, wanachukua wanawake kama watu ambao hawafai, you see. So anakuwa anadunishwa hata kama mama ame qualify for a job, a certain job, utapata kuna watu ambao wanamdisgrade mpaka hawezi pata that job. So that's why unapata mama qualify kupata job fulani, but he will have to think first before aende kwa hiyo kazi. He will think first, anafaa awe sure even more than 110%, 120% awe sure kabisa he's qualified for that job, then anaweza enda. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu watu wanachukua kama watu ambao hawezi, and yet women are people who are best leaders. In fact, I prefer tungeweza kupata president ambaye ni mwanamke, maybe even our country ingekuwa na change kubwa sana. So Martha Karua was the best choice for Baba, and it brought a lot of sense for politics even ilikuwa. Alafu another thing, Martha Karua is one woman that is an iron woman, a person who is so strong, a person who has a stand. Martha Karua alisimama akasema mimi sipendi mambo ya bipartisan talk. Sikubaliana na mambo ya bipartisan talk. Yeah. So kuanzia hapo wakati mpaka leo tujiona yumba, na ukweli tunajua kuwa bipartisan talk had nothing to do with us as wananchi wa chini, even though it was not all about issue na lowering cost of living. We had a lot of issues, we had a lot of items that we had. Yeah, I see. Mike, Alex, you go on.
All right. Ujajibu swali langu lilikuwa, je, unaona huu mkutano wa Martha Karua?
Ndio nilikuwa nakuja. Unajua nimeona Mike nani amewasha Mike.
Yeah.
Endelea pale kwa sababu I was trying to explain kwa sababu in our culture we always tend to demean our women, and yet we know that women are the best leaders. In fact, tukiwachagua kama kwa seats, ona kama our mama hapa from hapa Nyanza. Huyu mama anaitwaje? Huyu alikuwa MP ambao kuna mkutano kwake, hata leo pia imekuwa kwake, nasahau jina yake. The Iron Lady, the deputy, the governor from Homa Bay.
Gladys Wanga.
Oh, Gladys Wanga.
Yeah, Gladys Wanga. Look at that woman. Look at his leadership and how he's doing his things. Women are the best leaders, but in vile sisi kama wanaume na watu wengine pia hatutaki kuona ukweli na kuifuata ukweli. Tunapenda kuwadunisha sana wanawake. Okay, going to your question now. The meeting. even apart from going straight to that meeting, kwanza uliongea kuhusu surprise, maybe they were caught surprise. It's not about Kioni and Martha Karua and the other leaders, no. A number of people, even the ODM, in fact the same day ambao baba anasema kuwa he's going for that seat, and senator from ODM alikuwa kwa Citizen TV na akawa anaulizwa kuwa kumekuwa na propaganda kuwa baba anaenda kuwania hii seat. Unajua vile alisema, the senator alisema hiyo ni propaganda, hakuna kitu kama hiyo, na that was the same day asubuhi. But ikifika saa 5 baba mwenyewe anasema I'm going for that seat. Sasa tukaonekana ni kama watu ambao tujielewi. You know, it got many people in surprise. Si hao peke yao, watu wengi sana. Now to your question, the meeting. Okay, nimekuwa busy kiasi sijasikia exactly how Martha Karua aliongea, but I wish ningeweza kumsikia kwanza nimsikie vizuri kwanza nimuelewe ndio ninaweza kuongea, kwa sababu in the situation ambayo tuko kwa sahi, we are now tuko kama orphans, kwa sababu we trusted more on Raila as a guy ambaye alikuwa anakuja ku bring deliverance to our country, kwa person who was coming to bring to let us to help us reach Canaan, na akatufaitia, akatuonyesha everything ambavyo tunafaa tujue, na tukajitolea, tukaanza kumsikiza, tukaanza kumfuata. Wakati atarejesha maandamano, we went kwa that maandamano, but from nowhere he's now sitting with the person ambao tulisema ni demon, the person ambao tulisema ni muuaji, the person ambao tulisema nanuka dambi, the person ambao tulisema hata tuwezi have discussion na yeye. That is the person ambao sasa tunaenda kudine na yeye. You know, it is as if ni kama tumekuwa let down. Okay, that is me when naiangalia, naiona ni kama baba anatuacha mahali ambapo si mahali pazuri, because that is not a place where tulikuwa tunataka atuachie. Kitu ya kwanza, kwa sababu gani nasema hivyo, is it a must that baba anafaa lazima awe supported by this president ndio apete hiyo kura? I don't think if it is a must for baba asupportiwe na Ruto ndio apite. Hata Ruto akikosa kumsupport, he still have network outside ambaye anaweza kumsaidia apite. But now kuna ile
see, your country must nominate you as much as alisema Uganda president alioffer kumnominate. How do you convince others to vote for you if your country members or your president is is not voting for you? I think he really needs Ruto.
Yeah, he needs Ruto, but not a must that Ruto must be there for him.
It's almost obvious. Mcheza kwao utunzwa, wanasema hivyo. Ikiwa haezi cheza kwetu nyumbani, ikiwa rais wetu haezi mvutia, atakuwa na if unakumbuka jinsi ambavyo rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta alijituma ili kuweza kumkampenia Amina Mohamed, ingawa hakupata, but a president's role is very important. So if William Ruto backs out, I don't think it can really auga well in other people, especially other leaders. Watajiuliza maswali mengi sana ikiwa kwao hawamtaki, mbona tumtake?
No, let me listen to what Alex anasema and then I'll come back to you on that question, kwa sababu Alex amekataa kabisa.
Alright, asante sana wewe ambaye unajiunga nasi. Ndivyo tu tumeanza, na nakwambia tumeanza kukua na moshi na moto kibao hapa kwa studio. Karibu sana wewe ambaye unajiunga nasi, naona wengi ambao wanatutazama, lakini pia ukitaka kujiunga nasi kwa studio kupitia link ambayo imetumwa hapo kwa comment section. That's the link ambayo unajiunga nasi kwa studio, and we have a great conversation. We are looking at so many things, ladies and gentlemen, but all in all it is marked by the move by Raila Odinga to head to AUC, and that equally really leaves a lot of, and it's turning so many heads. It's leaving a lot to be desired, because who takes his role, who replaces him? He occupies very huge seats, very huge roles in our country. He is the chair of ODM, or rather he heads ODM, he heads AZIMIO. What happens to AZIMIO as a coalition? What happens to some of his followers? What happens to some of those who have supported him over the decades? We are talking of Kalonzo Musyoka, with equally talking about Martha Karua. We are talking about what Martha Karua today has said in as far as calling for Rimuru 3 to discuss the way forward. And I see my good friend Alex is smiling. I'm sure this is a very interesting topic for him. But Mr. Alex, what do you make of all this new development?
You know, Jax, sometimes we engage ourselves in what is called inferior logic, to a point that we take the narrative of the media and we start perpetuating here without using the cerebral mindset of thinking beyond what actually is happening. Okay, let me give my disclaimer.
Yeah.
Today we sit, Baba controls the narrative, whether it's in UDA. When he keeps quiet, everybody complains. When he talks, everybody criticizes him. It doesn't matter if Martha Karua keeps quiet, if Kooni keeps quiet, if Gideon Smoy keeps quiet, if Atwoli keeps quiet. It does not matter, I'm telling you. But when Baba keeps quiet and when he talks, it matters. Let me guarantee you one thing. I have a book here. I came to University of Minnesota to read a few things here. This is called, not the university, the Minneapolis Library. It's called the placebo effect. Placebo is something, anybody who doesn't understand what a placebo is a fake medicine. You go to the doctor, you insist you are sick. The doctor looks at you and you have faith in the doctor. You want the doctor to give you any subscription so that you can heal. The doctor has some medication which is fake. It has no iodine, it has no any chemical composition, it has nothing. Ni chokaa peke yake. Unakunywa 3 times a day. In your heart you believe that unakunywa dawa, you heal. Whether you have diabetes, whether you have blood pressure, because of your trust and belief. Now, let me come to one thing that I want to tell you. Politics is not static, it's dynamic. What happened last week is not what is happening this week. When we started the issue of revolution, when we started the issue with our day with destiny, when we wanted the issue of maandamano, everything has changed. We are going not to be glued on what we were in the other times. When you hear Raila called President William Ruto, look at this picture. Raila is standing on the left, Ruto is standing on the right. Okay, later on you'll find Ruto standing on the left, Raila standing on the right. And people do not know how those pictures in media means. Culture, fashion, and other things portray the communication of this leadership. Look at the legs of Museveni. Look at the Ankoli bulls there. Do they portray a message to you that Pan-Africanism is only going to be brought by Raila Odinga? You people are joking around. You don't understand what is going on all over Africa. We have a beef with what? The Western countries. I don't want to go in there. The issue I brought in, where does Martha Karua go? She's going nowhere without Baba. The only thing Martha Karua should do is either to stay with Baba. If Baba takes the AU seats, the AU, if you look at it, and I want to do a comprehensive research of AUC chairman, akona cabinets, akona PSS, akona all these people. If Martha Karua can be chosen as a leader of constitutional reforms in Africa, the better. Why? Come 2032, when Ruto finishes his term, she's formidable because Ruto is going to suppress everybody. Or now, let us not even talk about 2027. It is sealed, it's convinced, Ruto is taking in 10 years. And that's why Raila, in his wisdom, has agreed and he must move on. And that is the progressive nature of politics I want us to talk. If you want us, if you all the time say, Ruto must go, where is he going? Ruto is not going anywhere. I'm one of the people who believed Ruto was going to go. As we sit here today, hakuna mahali Ruto anaenda. Ruto told Jirongo right on his face, I was your huntsman, but nilijipanga vizuri. Ruto amejipanga vizuri kutuliko today. Secondly, if you look at AZIMIO today, AZIMIO will not survive. Ali said it the way it should be said. You like it, you yap, you jump, you poop, you even put your diaper. Come 2027, what we saw in Homa Bay, the Luos will vote for Ruto more than who? Kalonzo. And that's a topic of another day. My wish is it should never happen. But the trajectory is, if Ruto does a few things to Luos, they can trust Ruto more than Kalonzo. Now, history is going to open up. When Maanzo and Kalonzo took our certificates for ODM, don't bury history. Don't think that history will not come back to haunt us. Don't forget that the history of Ruto sitting in Bomas and fighting for Raila will never come back. Politics is interests. It is not a mere matter of what we think today and we rubbish tomorrow. It changes according to the tune and how other people want to do it. It doesn't depend on Jakes and Isho. It doesn't depend on Alex. The media so far has tried to castigate Raila Odinga. But moving from the president in 2027 to AU, things have changed by when it is no longer in our hands, Jakes. You can Jakes, 3 days in a row, you didn't even know what you are going to tell our people. It's now we have the courage to talk about it. But when Raila, first of all, we say it's propaganda UDA, isn't it? Then Raila next day comes and say, I have consulted widely. Jakes, we went to our cocoons. we couldn't believe that Raila can dish us that way. Now we started making up excuses. Raila is doing this because of this, because of this. Now, let me tell you, Jakes, one of the most foolish things that we as me are doing today, tunachekelea ati Rigathi Gachagua alisema ameweka all the things, ameweka everything that hatuwezi enda State House. But our real enemy is who? Is Ruto. AZIMIO are celebrating Ruto and they are forgetting who? Our real enemy. Sahi tunachekelea nani? Ati Rigathi Gachagua. Alafu tunasahau our real enemy. What I can tell you is this.
Okay.
AZIMIO is losing
kidogo hapo Alex. Naona unafanya hadi mawazo yangu inaenda mbali sana. Unafanya, I'm really thinking, but anyway, I'll be coming to you just now. I want to come back to Kenya and equally Mr. G, but equally allow me to appreciate many who are commenting. Kuna hadi wana comment Kimasai. I'm trying to read, but I know it is not that bad. Naona Lekulen Olesanu ametuma ujumbe na Kimasai, asante sana. Namuona Edgar Ege ametuma ujumbe, asante sana. Raimos Yegona, I see you, asante sana kwa ujumbe wako, na wengi ambao mnatuma ujumbe, asante sana. Angela Sindani, asante sana. Mr. G, naona ukinua mkono, nataka tu nieleze unasemaje kabla sijakuja kwa Mkenya. Mkenya, yes Mr. G.
No, I had a question to Mr. Alex.
Yes.
Alex, I've listened to what Alex has said, but now I'm going back. 2013 and 2023. Mr. Alex, I don't know if you read, okay, it's not about propaganda. I'm not trying to bring propaganda, but just let us look at this issue with another different way. Let's go back to 2023. There's a time that Miguna tweeted and said that Baba has requested Ruto kumpatia kiti ya kumsaidia apate kiti ya the same seat ambayo anaendelea sahi, ambayo ametangaza jana and last week. I think you know the tweet, ama sijui kama mliona that tweet. So I wanted to hear some views from Alex on that tweet, kwa sababu I think there is some intelligence ambazo nani alipata, ambazo Miguna alipata. That's why he akatweet, because he tweet exactly what has come to pass. Alex, what is your view on that Twitter?
Unajua, Mr. G, our problem is that we are denying the reality. We want to stack our ways to comfort while other things are moving forward. When eventually we are caught in a hot soup, we want to catch up with politics ambayo tulikuwa tunakataa. And allow me, Jakes, to say something that is very dangerous on your forum that I will never want to say anywhere. Some of our sister channels are stuck with an ideology and philosophy that honestly is funny and lies. Whether you are supporting today UDA or you are supporting ODM, these things are going to face off. We have a new formation that is going to come, that we have no privy on how it's going to happen. At the steps of Harambee House, when the greetings between Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila happens, Mutahi Kagwe came in, Nani came in, Matiang'i came in, and everything was different. Now, the question is, what is Raila coming in with William Ruto? What is William Ruto? And that's why people are panicking. Because what Ruto did eventually in the beginning was he chose people that he could control. Now that he doesn't need them, that he has the support of Raila and the MPs that can take the Mount Kenya away, what is he capable of doing? You know, it's easier to say when the mountain meets the lake. But have you ever thought when the lake meets the cattle hustlers? I don't want to say the other word. I can call hustlers, but there are people who call them another name. But let me tell you, you discredit the ingeniousness of the Kalenjin community. Those who are learned are completely learned. Those who are not learned are completely idiots. Murkomen has been coming to Homa Bay more than 30 times when I can count. Murkomen commissioned the 3 airports in Homa Bay. Murkomen at one time said what? That mimi nilikuwa mtoto wa nani? Wa Raila wa mkono. Murkomen as advocating for Gladys Wanga to reach where she is. Murkomen was part and parcel. Hii kitu tunaona investment conference in Homa Bay cannot succeed because of Homa Bay only. Or Gladys Wanga. The government was involved. And it is a rhetoric the government is telling the people of the mountain. If you joke with us, we have an alternative. The problem is that people don't want to agree with it. So, Jex, should I become a sycophant of the people in the mountain without telling them the truth? Where is Rigathi taking them? Nonsense. Nowhere. And I'll tell you, and I'll guarantee you one thing. At the first time in the tour of Nyanza, and it was told Luo Nyanza. It was never even called Nyanza. Kisi and Nyamira was taken out. Gladys Wanga received Ruto, and after that, he gave him 30 bulls. Do you know what 30 bulls means to the Luo culture? Eventually, he finished it in Siaya. Do you know how many times James Orengo called Ruto His Excellency? Later on, he said they are going to have what? Their own meetings. And they are going to provide Siaya with 30 tractors. You know, let us pin these things on the way it is. In terms of development, today in Kenya, Luo Nyanza is ahead of Kalenjin community, Kikuyu community, Kisi community, in terms of what we call the government development. Ruto went with the military to unveil the Uhuru MV in where? In Kisumu. Where after in Uhuru Park alikuwa ametoa the military, but aliacha Kisumu. Is that not paying attention to what Ruto is doing? Cherio told us before election, whether we like it or not, this time is a Kalenjin as Kalenjin. Whether we like it, whoever wins, the Kalenjin wins. Mr. G, we are going back to 2007. And if our Kikuyu brothers are not going to see it very well, and Raila is trying to help them, 42 verse 1 is coming back in a subtle way. Yeah. If we cannot agree into that, you are going to ask me, Alex, how did you see it? And we do not see it. We have an opportunity to completely get out of it. The Kalenjins are willing to talk to the Luos. The Luos are willing to talk to the Kalenjins. The Kalenjins are willing to talk to what? The Kikuyus. 3 tribes that are dominated the politics of Kenya, whether we like it or not. Kikuyus, Kalenjins, and Luos. You decipher them from that, you are killing totality of our politics. Now the question lies here. Why is Baba's seat has overtaken our politics to the point that tumesahau kila kitu? Martha Karua amesaulika, kila mtu amesaulika. Now we are looking at AU, the cost of living tumesahau. Everything tumesahau. Why? Baba matters. Anybody against Baba is going to go to hell. I swear to you, including Martha Karua. Martha Karua should think twice. The Limuru is nonsense. Wataenda wamalize warudi hapa, they'll be yapping. Thank you. Yes.
All right. We are having a serious debate here at Kenya News Link. Naona wengi wanatuma ujumbe. We are looking at so many issues because this story for like Raila Odinga heading to AUC has really raised mixed reactions. And I want to bring in another element, and that is the element of Rigathi Gachagua. But equally, I'll equally be mourning and consoling the people of Tanzania. So this clip begins with Tanzania update and goes directly to Gashagua's story. So sit back and enjoy this footage because therein lies the next question in as far as where does Mount Kenya go to, because here is another dilemma about to ensue. Listen in to this.
The announcement was made today by Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan. The former president has been undergoing treatment at a hospital in Dar es Salaam. All right, once again, that is just news coming from Tanzania. The second president, Ali Hassan Mwinyi, has died. The former president died aged 98 after long illness. The announcement was made today by Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan. The former president has been undergoing treatment at a hospital in Dar es Salaam. Of course, that is a developing story, and we'll keep you updated when we get details. But moving on to other stories, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua seems to be a man at a crossroads following the new bromance between President William Ruto and AZIMIO leader Raila Odinga. The Deputy President has been on record on several occasions saying that he will never allow any kind of handshake between the President and opposition chief. As our senior political affairs reporter Chris Thairu reports, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is said to have shied away from the new bromance between his boss and opposition chief Raila Odinga. Take a look.
Since the declaration of ODM leader Raila Odinga that he will be seeking the topmost African Union seat, this has left tags wagging in the political divide. Though they have insisted on supporting Odinga's candidature, a section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have been left at a crossroads on the next course of action, especially after they had vowed not to allow any talks between their boss, President William Ruto, and opposition chief Raila Odinga.
Well, Mzee Sikia, we have no business within our government. Hatuna haja na hatugojei wewe, we are not looking for you and we have no time. The last time uliingia serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta aliharibu hakuharibu? Mungetaka akaribie serikali yetu? Mungetaka akaribie? Stop saying that people can force you to come to this government. Forget about being forced or coerced. We are not interested because sisi tuko na kazi ya kufanya.
Na sababu nimesikia dada yangu wa Mushomba akisema ati kama iko mkata inakatwa, hiyo mkata iko na William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Kisu ni mimi nimeshika na siachili. Hiyo kisu mimi siwezi achilia. Muniite hardliner, muniite nini.
The tussle over the 2022 elections had left the two warring sides going for each other's jugular, with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua not shying away from reprimanding Raila.
Kazi ya kufanya, tumepata rais ambaye ako na maono ya kufanya kazi. Na hatutaki usaidizi kwa huyo mzee. Si tumeweka wale Zahome kumsaidia? Na Profesa Dongo si yako hapo? Si mimi niko? Si Ndede Nyoro wako hapo? Usaidizi gani mwingine angetaka kutoka pande hiyo? Hawa wakae huko wafanye kazi ya oversight. Hiyo watu wakijaribu kukaribia State House, nimeweka mitego kila njia wanaweza pitia, hakuna pahali wanaweza pitia.
The DP will go ahead to poke fun on Odinga's arrival at the climate change conference in Nairobi last year.
Sisi ndio tumewaharibu. Juzi tumekuwa na kongamano pale. Mimi niko pale, rais ameniambia nikaribishe marais wote wa Kenya na niwapeleke kwake. Mimi niko pale. Nimekaribisha marais, napelekea rais, nakaribisha, napeleka, nakaribisha, nakipeleka. Sasa ile mzee sijui alipitia wapi. Sasa nikiwa nimekaa pale nauliza hii ni rais ya wapi, kufunguliwa ni ile mzee ya maandamano. Bas, mimi unajua ni muungwana, nikamkaribisha namwambia okay, karibu kwa mkutano. Sasa yeye ati anaenda kwenda pahali marais wanakaa, ati akae. Yeye ni rais ya nchi gani? Hakuna mtu amemchagua. So we are also encouraging bad habits.
President Ruto and Raila newfound relationship appearing to put Ruto's number 2 in an awkward position. Just how will Rigathi fit in the new political arithmetics? Chris Dairo, KTN News, Nairobi.
It has been established that Embakasi explosion victims will take longer to get their...
Before we now, Jex, before we proceed, was it by accident that we got Rigathi Gachagua? Was it by accident that we got Raila Odinga?
You know, it's interesting. If you have seen your...
You know, Jex, let me finish this.
Just a moment.
You know, the Mount Kenya... Okay, just go ahead.
If you have seen that photo, the last image, the current chair, AUC, ako hapo, all right? And Raila Odinga is now coming, and they greet him. So it's interesting. It's interesting to now digest some of these things after the fact. But go ahead. I was just bringing what I've seen in that clip.
So Mr. Jex, let me tell you something. The denialism is a fact that when you put politics in perspective, we are going to hurt. That's why we still have people saying Ruto must go. Ruto is not going anywhere. Ruto is a president for 10 years. I believe sometimes that he's going to go maybe up to 2027. No, Ruto is going for 2032. And also, Raila is going to AU seat for 8 years. What we don't know is both of them can die in the office. Martha Karua is going to the AU. Or Paranya is going to the AU. Who is going to be left in Kenya? That's a question. And let me guarantee you something. It's not a prediction, and I don't want it to happen. But this is what's going to happen. For the first time, Uhuru is going to look back and regret in his presidency when they sat down with Raila Odinga and tell it, the BBI must pass. Muturi is going to regret what Raila told them. Have the majority and save the Kikuyus. Today, as we see it, Kapogo is regretting. Karua is regretting. Mamangilu is regretting. When you talk about the Mount Kenya, we are not talking about the Kikuyus. We talk about the Kambas, we talk about the Merus, we talk about the Bemberus, we talk about Spon PK, we talk about some of our friends who are very vocal here. Let me tell you, Simbarati is taking over. And when he's taking over, we are going to see a problem. Let me finish there. I want to hear the other options. But I'm telling you, we are in a periphery where if we don't make right choices, another leadership is going to take over that is not going to think of Mount Kenya. Thank you, guys.
Okay, interesting. Mr. G, what do you make of Gachagua sentiments? At one time he seemed to be blocking Raila Odinga. Now Raila Odinga is going to a seat that he cannot be denied any longer. He cannot be blocked any longer. What do you make of him?
No, the truth is that Gachagua finds himself in a very awkward situation. You know, listen to that clip. Akiongea kwa nimeka mitego yote, siji mali, siji nimefanya nini, hatuhitaji mzee, hatumhitaji mahali popote. But the truth has just come out. that ukweli ni kuwa he will find himself in a very awkward situation, kwa sababu kwa saa hii sasa they are sitting together, President Ruto and Raila, and I can agree with Alex that the issue of 2027 that is done. Hakuna kitu, hakuna mahali Ruto anaenda. Wale watu ambao wanasema Ruto must go, hiyo nyimbo tushaitoa kwa akili, hiyo hakuna tena. There's nowhere Ruto anaenda. And now they make the matter more worse, ni kwa sababu he's being supported by Baba now. They are sitting together. They are now friends. Whereby now the supporters wa Baba hawatakuwa against Ruto tena. You see, now the problem is that we sasa sisi kama hustlers, hiyo na hatuwezi danganyana, hustlers they are going to feel the heat. Kwa sababu hakuna mahali tutasaidika. Yeah, but nimeona mzee wangu amekuja, mzee Nguru. I think nitaendelea wakati atakuwa shaongea. Namuona amefika, siwezi endelea kuongea kama amefika. Acha kwanza aongee alafu ndio mimi nitaendelea baadaye.
Alright, mzee Nguru, karibu sana kwa Kenya News Link, and equally asante sana kwa wale ambao wanatuma ujumbe. You are equally part of this great show. Naona Sound Candid Talk Live wametuma ujumbe, asante sana. Naona Angela Sindani pia amefanya vile vile, na Romesi Yegon, na wengi ambao mnatuma ujumbe. Thank you for being part of this great show. We are having a very candid conversation here at Kenya News Link, and allow us to continue even as we look at what could it even mean to some of the friendship that we have been having between, for example, William Ruto and DP Rigathi Gachagua. Are we about to see what happened in 2017 after the handshake, the famous handshake, that William Ruto was isolated and eventually he became a man in government yet outside government? Mr. Guru, good evening. It's good to see you after a long while. Hope you are well. Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Karibu sana kwa Kenya News Link.
Unasikia mzuri?
Nakusikia vizuri kabisa, sauti yako inakuja vizuri sana hapa kwa studio. Maoni yako ni yapi? Tuna discuss vitu mingi sana. Martha Karua ameitisha mkutano ya Limuru 3. Gachagua naye ndio huyu alisema Raila na Ruto hawatakaribiana, ameweka safeguards, amefanya vyovyote vile kuzuia the meeting. Now Karua again amekusanya watu, they are about to meet to discuss their way forward, especially in AZIMIO, kwa sababu ya benye tu baba ameamua kwenda AUC. What do you make of all this movement happening in Mount Kenya and equally in UDA and in AZIMIO in as far as Mount Kenya is concerned?
I think first of all, the factor of Baba in Kenyan politics is so strong that it will completely destabilize the politics on both sides. In Mount Kenya, many have made career out of demonizing Baba, and that way they have won leadership positions as MPs, senators, and the rest. So their main qualification was how acidic they were towards this personality. But now they have nothing to talk about going forward, especially if he goes to the African Union. On the other side, there are those who have depended on hanging on Baba's coattails. Their performance has been wanting for a very long time, and the public and the supporters of ODM have been wanting to get rid of them. But because they have been too close to Raila, they have always sneaked in on that account that they are protectors of Baba. So what this move has done is going to create very, very many political orphans, either by design or by default. And you can imagine now, right now in central Kenya, there is no central organizing force. The central organizing force of politics and what made it move was the vitriolic statements against Raila Odinga. Anybody who was seen to be fighting Raila was seen as the hero or as a protector of the community. But that is not going to be now. And that is why you could hear some of them trying to say that that position should go to Uhuru Kenyatta. Why? Because already they are losing it big time. The person they humiliated is now the person who seems to be on the upward trend, and that he could determine what happens next to the Mount Kenya politics. That is Uhuru Kenyatta. So therefore, they are in a confusion, a total confusion. And because of that, then the next most probable thing is that they might turn against their principle as the object of hatred for unfulfilled promises. But that is not going to come very fast, because Ruto, in his way, mastered the Moi type of politics. He knows how to pull the strings in the back room. So they may just wait and build their time until there is no other time left.
Okay.
Well, some have started talking in a manner of rebellion, and if you hear an MP saying the central region should now have its own political party, and that we made a mistake not to have our own, those are just the first scenes of where the community could be moving next.
Okay.
Now, on the side of Nyanza, parts of Coast Province, and parts of Western Kenya, they are also not sitting pretty, because now, like Alex was saying, decisions will have to be made. People will have to reassess which side serves them better. And that's why I don't envy the positions of the likes of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. The reason being, for a very long time, they have posed as equal partners in politics with Baba, with equal leverage. But the truth of the matter is that that may not be, and they'll be left totally exposed, and their shenanigans will now come to light. Because if they do not fill the shoes of that mzee, then the public will always know that they were masquerading as equal partners. In fact, walikuwa nasumbua mzee bure, because they have now been given the field to prove themselves that they are equal, because that's what they have been saying. They have been talking of being equal partners in politics. Now, if I do not envy the position of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, because this could also mean his politics coming to an end if he's not careful. He may think that he's been left afield, but it depends on how he plays this. Because like the brother of Raila asked, okay, if Raila were to say Kalonzo tosha, na watu wao wakatae, kwa sababu they don't feel him, what is he going to do? You know, one thing that people will appreciate very soon is that the support, the political support that Raila has across the country may not be as easily transferable to another person, another personality. And it may not be very easy, because this is a support that has been cultivated for many years. It's not something that came by the chance. You remember his first attempt, he got barely, I think, 500,000 votes, and he's been building on that, getting acceptance from his neighbors, the Kisi, who first did not seem to embrace him. then extending and entrenching himself in Western Kenya and coast and parts of northeastern. And now he's in the last election, he got a chunk of the Mount Kenya vote, over 1.4 million or thereabouts. So you can imagine now that political capital built over the years being transferred on the whim of a mere statement of Tosha. By the way, Kibaki, his Tosha was just a qualified statement in that he had already established his name. He had become nationally acceptable, and therefore the Tosha was an addition to that national vote that Mzee Kibaki had. Unfortunately, Stephen does not seem to have that kind of advantage. His support seems to only come from his backyard, the Kamba people, and that presents its own problem. And because also Raila supporters are used to a certain brand of politics, and this, Alex will tell you, these are firebrands. They are not people who will walk the you know the soft path. If they want to push something, they'll take the hard path. Is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka prepared for that blood of politics? I mean, it's not easy. It's not just easy as just saying Tosha. It is not. Unfortunately, also Kalonzo does not seem to have that magic with the masses. There's a certain category of voters that Raila captured and has kept under his wraps because he talks their language and they like his approach. And Kalonzo will have to be really assistant if he is going to get 70% of the votes that Baba was being given. He will need a lot of panel beating. He will need a lot of help from Baba himself and perhaps Uhuru Kenyatta for him to have the national acceptance and perhaps win the presidency. It's not going to be easy. In fact, I see ODM diehards not letting go their party or ceding power. And I'm saying this with all due respect to Wiper, having supported ODM leader. I am looking at the likes of Joho, Arati, Oparanya, who are equally, up to the task. When you look at somebody like Oparanya, if you have not noticed, he has been just on the left side of Baba for the last, I don't know how many months now, after the elections. He's not left that side. And I can see like Baba is settling on that man. It's only that maybe he may not pronounce it now. That is my prediction. That's the way I see it. And simply because perhaps he would be quickly acceptable among his community and also the neighbors there. You know, those people call themselves Mashemeji. Therefore, I'll not be surprised. I'll not be surprised at all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sansana, Mr. Guru. You have really raised a lot. Equally, thank you so much, those of us joining Kenya News Link. I see Mohammed Nazema. Don't forget to congratulate the one who has won LSK chair, the lady. We are just about to do that just about now. And equally, let's continue discussing what we are looking at. What happens now that Raila Odinga is leaving for the AUC, especially to one regarding Gachagua. That's what the footage I've just played. Mr. G, what do you make of Rigiji? What are his chances? Of course, Mr. Guru says Kalonzo, hata akiambiwa tosha by Raila Odinga, he still has a heavy duty to do because it's not easy. Hajajijenga, alikuwa anajiita equal partner, but sasa ndio wakati wake wa kujiprove. Kulingana na wewe, Kalonzo, Karua, Rigiji, je, wametosha mboga ya kuachiwa some of these big seats?
No, hajatosha mboga, but I will agree with what Mr. Nguru has said. In fact, he has raised a lot of concern on this issue, because most of the time, kuna watu ambao they always believe that they can do without Baba, but the truth in kuwa most of these people they cannot do without Baba. Mtu kama Kalonzo, in fact, Kalonzo, in fact, he's a man ambaye amekuwa kwa politics for a very long time. Many years amekuwa kwa politics, but looking at him as somebody who wants to fight for the seat of presidency, bado he lacks that strength. Anakosa ile nguvu, na hata vile Nguru amesema, you just look at it and it's exactly what is happening. Baba akasema Kalonzo tosha, still we have people from that from the ODM, hiyo chama ya ODM ya Baba, that they may not even support it. They may not even go with that say, even though Baba atakuwa amesema Kalonzo tosha. Why? Kwa sababu how he conducted himself also. You know, Kalonzo had a chance to build himself, but most of the time when amekuwa na ameplay a politics ambayo imekuwa ikimharibia for most of the time, mpaka anaitwa watermelon, and watermelon imekuwa ikiplay in his character every time and then. Hata sahi umeona vile alikuwa anaongea, I think it was yesterday ama today, akiongea akisema now we are going to take this petition today to the president, and he also referred to Baba, na akasema kuwa signed wakati ndaenda kuambia kuwa lazima maisha, cost of living ishuke chini, lazima vile tulikuwa tunahitaji kama hustler ifanyike, but now he has that strength. Can he attract that masses ambao Baba kana attract? Can he fit in that shoe ya Baba? Tunaona kwa bado hajafikia. He need to work very hard. On your question about Rigathi Gachagua and those other guys, Rigathi Gachagua is one guy ambaye hakujielewa. Wakati alichukuliwa na Ruto, there was a purpose why he was taken by Ruto na akapewa that seat of deputy president, but many of time when amekuwa act is a guy ambaye ako na loose mouth, is a guy ambaye bado haelewi what happened. Look at what alikuwa anaongea, akisema ameweka mitego kila mahali, ameweka mitego kila kona, hataki Baba asonge karibu kabisa na this government. Alafu baadaye anajipata president mwenyewe ambaye ni Ruto, wanatembea na Raila wakipiga story wakiongea. Sasa wanaanza kuwa ni kama watu ambao watakuwa close kiasi. Where will he find himself? Atajipata na very awkward place ambayo atashindwa kuexplain, kwa sababu hata sasa inashangaa, how does he feel? Anasikiaje wakati akwa akisimama akituambia ameweka mtego kila mahali? Sasa anasikiaje sasa akiona watu kama kina nani, this woman from Malindi, the Aisha Juma, wakienda wanaingia kwa ofisi ya Raila, wanamvisit Raila? How does he feel now? Kwa sababu it's as if things are changing now. Na I can agree with Alex, kwa sababu Alex ameongea kuhusu politics changing, and it's true, politics is changing, and all of us we are happy Baba akiwa anapanda kwa another rank, but that factor of orphan hiyo nao bado iko. We have people ambao wamekuwa kidandia kwa mgongo ya Baba, ambao sasa wanafaa wajitokeze wenyewe sasa. They have to make decision themselves bila kutegemea Baba, kwa sababu Baba was the person ambaye ana make decision. Wakati people are oppressed, do we have somebody ambaye ataweza kujitokeza aanze kupigania wananchi wa chini wa Kenya, aanze kusema let's go for this thing, let's fight for this thing? You know, there's a guy ambaye nilikuwa nampenda sana, a young guy from Central Kenya. The guy was an activist, but the guy alikuja akakuwa discouraged just once kwa sababu alijaribu kusimama kama MP na hakuchaguliwa tena. Wakati hakuchaguliwa akasema sasa kwa sababu wananchi hawamtaki, hata even that activism hata ifanya sasa, na amepotea kabisa, anaonekana tu kidogo kidogo, but he's not that vocal when alikuwa kitambo. That is what will happen. That is how people think, but we need people who will stand and do things ambao baba alikuwa anafanya. Sasa hiyo ndio tukiangalia tunashindwa ni nani ambaye ataweza kufanya hizo vitu. Who can we go for ambaye atakuja tusaidie? That hii inakuwa challenge. That's why nimesema that factor of
Kalonzo hawezi kulingana na wewe, hawezi jaribu.
Kalonzo hawezi. You know, there's some things about you just have to look at it, alafu unapata answers. Nani amekwambia vizuri? Mzee Nguru amekwambia vizuri. Kalonzo is a guy ambaye hata baba akisema Kalonzo tosha, still bado hatapata that percent ambayo baba alikuwa anapata, kwa sababu vile amejiconduct. Unajua sometimes pia watu huwa na mess, you know, like when you read this book ambayo inaitwa The 48 Laws of Power, kuna act pale number 18 ambayo inasema, I think it talks about the isolation, how dangerous isolation can be. You know, these politicians sometimes they always lose kwa sababu ya kukosa kusoma vitu kama vitabu kama hizi, because in that act number 18 inaongea kuhusu isolation and the danger of being isolated. Look at this politician ambao wamekuwa close na baba, but because of some small issue wanaambua kuji-isolate. What are the dangers of being isolated? Ama kuji-isolate wewe mwenyewe? That is the place where you will lose contact with the source of your power. You know, kama tuseme kama wale watu ambao walikuwa close na baba wakati kwa tunaanza hiyo siasa after 2022, ambao wakuja kaingia wamepotea, wengi haonekani mpaka saa hii. Kuna vitu ambazo wamezikosa ambao wangekuwa meketi pale na baba wangekuwa wamelani. Kama saa hii sasa baba anatoka anataka kwenda AU, tunapata hakuna mtu anaweza fit kwa ile seat yake. Why? And yet they had that time, walikuwa na hiyo chance ya kuketi na baba wafunze, baba wapatie tactics of how they can do things. Wanaji-isolate kwa sababu kuna vitu fulani ambao hawataki kujiona. Unaona kama ile wakati kwa nenda ile kuapisha baba ile ya was it 2017 I think 2017 wakati kwa tunaenda kuapisha baba, nani walikataa? Huyu Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi walipotea, walijificha kwa sababu waliogopa. They cannot do those things ambao baba anaweza fanya. It's only baba who can do things that he always do. And these people to learn, they were supposed to sit closer to baba wafunze so that they can take over. But sasa tumebaki orphans. Na hiyo itatu affect. Back to you, Mr. Jex.
All right, you guys love Manifanya. I'm really thinking, because we're interesting times ahead. Mr. Guru, let me ask you this. With Baba exiting, you have rightfully said that Kalonzo can't really take over the mantle in as well as Atakama Tambio Kalonzo Tosha. But ODM equally is in the same boat. What happens to ODM? I think I asked this yesterday, but I'd want to hear your sentiments. What happens to ODM in the event that Baba now leaves? There are people equally who have benefited from the presence of Raila Odinga. Kuna mtu tu amekuwa parliament kwa sababu Raila Odinga alimshika mkono. What happens to ODM as a party? What happens to some of these MPs, some of these governors, some of these senators who have sailed on Baba's wing to really even clinch some of the seats that they have? What happens to them? Are we almost seeing a likelihood that some people, this will be their retirement and their exit once Baba moves to AUC?
First of all, let me clarify that I did not say that Kalonzo is a total write-off. What I said is that there is a section of Raila supporters who may not be convinced that is the rightful person to represent them, because they are used to a certain blood of politics, which Kalonzo does not have. They are used to hand-hitting, action-packed political mobilization and engineering, which Kalonzo does not seem to fit in. It's a problem in itself. Of course, there are those who are just going to retire with Baba. Some of them are very young, by the way. that is in ODM. They have perhaps held the cocktails of Baba. Some of them are hooligans who have always exploited that goodwill and secured their positions. And ODM by itself, I think so far, give it to that party. I think they are the most organized party today in Kenya, in all dimensions. And you can see a deliberate plan by Raila himself to entrench that party beyond him. And you can see it in having what we would call regional supremos, like Arati, Joho is been brought back very forcibly, Oparanya, and others. So I am not seeing ODM disintegrating in the manner that people may quickly conclude. Because first of all, and that's where the problem comes, is that there are certain things the people who belong to that party, there are certain ideas they seem to pursue collectively. Because you cannot just have a party that cuts across huge sections of this country as a party for such a long time, and then you think that perhaps it is just about the leader. It is only that the leader is carrying the ideals, and that is where the problem comes with that party. Are they going to get a person who can fit in those shoes and carry the same ideals? That is the challenge that they have, and I think that is the homework that Baba has. And by the way, it could be a good thing for that party that Baba goes to the AU, because you see, you have an opportunity to observe from outside how the party is going to be when left in the hands of others. Of course, he'll be in the background, assisting where he can, but also it may cushion that party from implosion in case he is not present. And maybe the time he will be there, the true leadership now will emerge, the alternative leadership that will be acceptable across the country. So that's the way I see it myself. Then the issue of Central Kenya, Mother remains one of the most credible leaders that we have. And she's truthful, honest, and straight to the point. However, she seems not to excite quite a section of the community. Perhaps it's the manner in which she presents herself, or the underlying interests that are not on the surface, that they think maybe she can go very hands-on and may run counter to what they expect. Right now, you are aware that part of the reason why Mount Kenya voted for Ruto was that they saw a person like them, being most of them small traders. They thought he would support them and perhaps even look the other way, if need be, for them to make money. But things are not coming out that way. I think the community does not like somebody who is very strict and a stickler for rules and regulations. That's why you can see our city the way it is. The hawkers want to be everywhere. So any good leader for them is that who will allow some leeway for people to do what they have to do to survive. So, so I don't know how this will develop, but I can tell you this for sure, that in the background, when all is said and done, Uhuru Kenyatta remains the underlying political force in Mount Kenya, even now. You heard what Kahiga told him the other day in Nyeri. That was not mere brabbering. It is what the pulse of the people is about. That there is a need for a leader who can be listened by everybody to give direction, which is totally lacking at the moment.
Okay. Mr. G, is there a gap that really is making this meeting for Rimuru 3 to be called by Martha Karua, as Guru is saying? And equally, what will be the role of Uhuru Kenyatta? Could we see him attend that Rimuru 3 function?
Okay, for Uhuru attending, I'm not sure if he can attend. I'm sure he will not attend that meeting. That one I'm very 100% sure he will not attend. Why? Because this is a former president, and at the moment hataki kujiingiza kwa siasa sana, more so the siasa ya Central Kenya. Sidhani kama anataka kujiingiza sana, because this is a guy ambaye he tried his best to convince his people. He had the best for his people at heart, na akaongelesha mpaka ilifika wakati akawa anaongea kwa Kikuyu akitaka kulia, but those people never listened to him. Sahi amekuwa vindicated. Most of them they are crying, wanaomba msamaha, wanasema tuachie, tusamee, tulikosa. Yeah, mlikosa, but yeye sasa anafanya nini? Yeye ametulia kwake, hana shughuli. The only focus ambao sasa ana deal nao ni issue ya business zake, and that because of that business with some interest in, utapata he may come closer to Baba and Ruto again. That is what I'm seeing because of his business. You know, ako na business mingi Kenya, ako na business mingi Uganda, and for him coming closer to Uhuru and Uhuru coming closer to Baba and coming closer more to Raila to Ruto, his business hazitakuwa affected sana. Unajua alikuja akafinywa sana na Ruto, akionyesha ubingwa. Unajua Ruto, wakati Ruto alikuja alionyesha kwa yeye ndo mwanaume, na akawa anamsumbua sana mpaka hata anavamia watoto wake. Tunapata amekuja amekuwa mkali sana wakati amevamia watoto wake. So the main thing ambao mimi najua ni kuwa Uhuru hatakuwa kwa hiyo meeting ya Limuru, but Uhuru going back and working again with Ruto, I see it happening, kwa sababu Uhuru is a closer friend to Raila, na ikiwa Raila ataamua kusema wacha tufanye kazi na Uhuru na Ruto, obvious Uhuru pia atakuja wafanye kazi, kwa sababu his interest and that is business was. Now kwa that mkutano ni sawa. Why? Kwa sababu saa hii ni wakati ambao Martha Karua has to stamp his authority. You know, Martha Karua is an iron lady and is a woman ambaye he has an impact in our politics, na ni mtu ambaye anaheshimiwa. But sasa that's why I brought in that act of the law, the 48 laws of power, that issue of isolation. Isolation always affect people. Wakati wanajiisolate, they should not be isolating themselves. Martha Karua amekuja akapotea kiasi, amejificha kiasi, akawa haonekani, and when such things happen you lose focus. Your directive, zile vitu ambavyo kuna believe in, sometimes unakuja unasahau. So sasa akaanza kuitisha those meetings, akitaka watu wakutane, aanze kuonekana, atakuwa na debuild, and that is great. That is a benefit to him. Atapata mileage. Alafu another thing, he need to stand up. You know, Martha Karua was our deputy president, ambaye kwa sasa yeye anakuwa anafanya vitu ambazo nani anafanya, Kalonzo anafanya. But you see, Kalonzo sasa amechukua place yake kwa sababu yeye haonekani. He need to come out, aanze kuonekana, na hata ikiwezekana asimame for the presidency, we still give it to her, but that meeting to her ni muhimu sana. But for Uhuru to attend, I don't think Uhuru will attend that meeting.
Okay, Guru, why do you think that meeting is even important? Because they're saying one of the things they will discuss is in ODM. Why do you think it's important for them, not ODM, sorry, in AZIMIO? Why would Rimuru 3 be significant, and what would it even mean? And if Karua was to walk out from Azimio, does she have the muscle to go a notch higher than the way she was in Azimio?
First of all, there's a groundswell of discontent, frustration, and apprehension in the community. I don't know whether you saw a video of KRA officials telling avocado farmers that they will start paying taxes directly from their farms. And you saw what happened. That is the language that can spoil the party with the people of Central Kenya. So Mother is calling the political meeting at a very opportune time. And that meeting can be called by anybody with guts at this time, because people are waiting to see the person who stick out for them, just like Matiba and Rubia did at a very crucial time when the community felt that their fortunes had taken a nosedive. Right now, the state of despondency in the central region is such that they are actually looking for leaders. And one thing you must know for a fact, leaders emerge during crisis. Even Uhuru himself emerged at a time when the community was in great stress following the 2007 post-election violence. Now the community is feeling that it is under attack in terms of economics, that their base of survival is threatened in all fronts. And therefore, anybody taking the mantle, anybody taking the lead will get a position, will get a hearing, will be celebrated. And this is a very good political move by Mother Wangari Karua. It's timely.
Now, Mr. G, between Karua and Kalonzo, who has the ability to carry on forward, to really move forward?
Okay, at the moment, you know, when you compare between a man and a woman in Kenya politics, always people will defend man more than they will defend a woman. To me, I see leadership in Martha Karua. Martha Karua is a strong woman who has a stand. But I can tell you that when wanawekwa pale wawili, people will go for Kalonzo. Why? Because Kalonzo is a man. Another thing, because Kalonzo, ani watasema kwa Kalonzo amekuwa kwa siasa for a very long time, and Kalonzo has been with Baba, closer to Baba, has been supporting Baba every time and then. Sasa saini wakati wake ambao pia anafaa apate. But when I look at Kalonzo and Martha Karua, as much as all of them they're almost the same, but to me, Martha Karua has a stand, and he stands a chance of being a greater leader than Kalonzo. Given a chance, Martha Karua is the best. Yeah.
Guru, between the two, Kalonzo, Karua, who stands a better chance?
First of all, if Mother were to be effective enough to capture the imagination of the people of Mount Kenya, and they rallied around her, as their leader for now, Kalonzo would not have space. That vote bank is not a small one. And therefore, it may not be very easy to immediately answer that question, because what is important here is if the Mount Kenya region can accept Martha as the alternative leader for now, and if she was to carry that into the next general elections, it would make a huge difference. But in absence of that, then I think Kalonzo would still have a head start. Yeah.
Now, Kalonzo seems to have a head start already. When you think about it, from the mountain to Cumberland, Kalonzo controls quite a huge following, and is almost organic. He follows it. And Karua is yet to say he has such a following. So does Kalonzo already have a head start in as far as backing from your own backyard? Your stronghold is, that's how I would put it.
Let me tell you one thing. The thing that broke the deal between the people of Mount Kenya and Martha is when she walked away from Mwai Kibaki. And some saw it as being hand-strong. And because that time Kibaki had a rival of his own politically, there are those who never reconciled with the fact that Martha could do that. After having stuck with Kibaki since 1992 as a first-time MP, in fact, Martha stuck with Kibaki all through from 1992 in DP, you remember. So, but that is not to mean that anybody can extinguish her candle in central Kenya. She's still regarded highly. That's why Martha can address political rally anywhere without heckling or people disrespecting her. More so now that it's very clear that she was on the right side of the political divide and people were cheated. Let me say this. For now, the people of Central do not have somebody like Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka among the Kamba people, or Raila Odinga among the Ruo and Ruya, or it's in a state of limbo. There are, of course, a variety of leaders, but none seem to have risen above others. It's a very difficult situation that the community is in right now. I think those in UDA and the main movers of UDA would like it to remain like that for their own benefit. And I'm not sure it will remain that way, especially with the situation as it is right now. But also, those who wish to take leadership must move very fast. And that's why I'm saying for Martha to convene meeting now is timely. It is strategic. And she must talk the language that people want to hear, so that she can run away with the torch. Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. G, there is a footage that I'm looking for, but I think I'll get it just now. It was describing Raila having a way of finding himself working with a sitting president. We saw him try to do that in 2002 with the former president, Daniel Moi. Equally, we saw that when he did it in 2007 with one former president, Mwai Kibaki. In 2017, again, we saw it happening with one president, Uhuru Kenyatta. Are we seeing a trend that almost describe Raila Odinga and how at times he has been able to work with sitting governments and somehow eventually get a position? Because when he joined Moi, he became a secretary general of KANU. With Kibaki, became a PM. With Uhuru, he got an infrastructure job from the AU. And now, equally with Ruto, he's almost getting a chair of AUC. Does it really signify the kind of person Raila Odinga can become once he loses an election? Does he have the ability to work with the government despite how they came to power, but he finds a way to work with the government and be in government or be in a position that at least some may say he's in a working environment with a sitting government? What do you make of such? I'll get that footage for you, but what do you make of such analogy from those who tried to bring that form of thinking about Raila Odinga?
Okay, the truth is that Baba can do and can work with any person. Yeye huwa hana shida. But now we cannot compare this current situation ambayo iko sahi with those former currents ambao ilikuwa inamfanya anafanya kazi na those other former leaders. On this current, on the situation, current situation sahi, it is all about the AU. And AU, as we are told, AU, you have to be supported by the sitting president. Na kwa sahi, the sitting president is Mr. Ruto. And Mr. Ruto ni mtu ambaye alikuwa hapatani na Raila for a very long time. But now, because of that fact that he has to be supported by this president, lazima akuwe closer na yeye. And that's why even Ania aliuliza that swali. Jana, ukisikiza wene Ngilo alikuwa anauliza, alikuwa anaongea, he asked a question akauliza, baba, unatuachaje? Umepanga vipi? Why? Kwa sababu, you know, now, because he needs that support from President Ruto, obvious kuna vitu ambazo hatafanya, na hata Kalonzo akasema sasa kwa sahi najua mambo ya kusema wewe shuka haitakuwa, baba atasema, and it's true. There's no way utataka support from the president alafu mwambie wewe toka kwa president, toka State House, tunakuja kukutoa State House. Hizo vitu zote zishaisha. He has to be closer to him as friends, waongee kama marafiki, na sasa hiyo ndio inafanya unaona they are coming together. And because of that, I think that's why some of us tunasema kuwa itakuja kuwa mpaka sasa iwe sasa kama handshake because of that. Kwa sababu obviously he has to be supported by this president, and to be supported by this president itabidi awe mzuri kwa this president, na kuwa mzuri kwa this president pia itabidi awe mzuri kwake, na for the president kuwa mzuri kwake atapatia watu wa Raila kazi. Those are obvious things ambazo zita happen. Watu wa Raila wataanza kupata kazi because of that friendship. Baba hata kuwa na ile uwezo wa kwanza kumtusi, ya kwanza kumsukuma pende kwa anamsukuma. Now the person ambaye anafaa na hiyo nguvu ya kumsukuma, it is Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua who need to see this opportunity, because the country imechoka na huyu mtu ambaye anaitwa Ruto with his policies. Ruto ni ndugu yetu. Sisi tunamchukia kwa sababu ni Ruto, no, tunachukia ile policies zake. When amefanya policies mpaka maisha imekuwa ngumu. So there is an opportunity when somebody can see it and size it. Mtu kama Ruto, mtu kama Kalonzo na mtu kama Martha Karua, if they can see this thing na waseme let's go with this thing na tuifuate vile tunataka, vile nani Mr. Nguru amesema, to speak the language of wananchi wa chini vile wana feel, they will take over this country. But now kwa sababu ya that friendship baba, wataanza kupewa kazi, wakinyamaza ndio hivyo. And that's why they are saying this thing is sealed. 2027 hatatufai kuongelea 2027 kwa sababu as much as watu wataendelea kwa ma friends hivi, watu wa baba wataanza kupewa kazi, na hivyo ndio kabisa. And yet we know Ruto how cunning he is. And Ruto ni mtu ambaye hataki kuambilika, ni mtu ambaye achukui any advice. Obviously he will be a rough person, and hatutapata. That's why nimekuambia tukianza, mwananchi wa chini ambaye ni hustler hatapata justice. So we need somebody to see that chance na itumie vizuri, aichukue.
Okay, Mr. Guru, same question. What do you make of the ability of Raila Odinga contestants in an election. At times he loses, goes to court, nini. But eventually, somehow, over the decades, Raila Odinga has always found a way to work with a government that probably even didn't support it. What do you make of him? How would you describe such a person?
You know, those who trace the politics of Raila, they started taking a determined direction when he resigned from Fort Kenya after they disagreed on leadership. And he started taking very firm personal decisions. Of course, politics by its nature is a shellfish game. And when you go to seek it, you want power for yourself, for your political party. But beyond that, Raila has carried a body of ideals with him that have resonated with the Kenyan people. Look at multipartyism, look at county governments, and so on and so forth. So that ability to be able to re-engineer his politics is anchored in the fact that he's also been able to read the pulse of the nation and sell the ideas that can, can be acceptable, and press for change of systems. And because of that, he's been able to keep himself relevant for many, many years, which many politicians have not been able. Because most people, like our old friend who could become, we do not know, Kalonzo Musyoka, you cannot tell exactly what body of ideas he carries in his politics. And even up to now, except maybe the fact that a good turn deserves another, you may not really tell what exactly you will bring forth. Look at it this way. Raila rode on the crest of multipartyism into his politics, then started pressing for changes in the constitution that were very popular with Kenyans. Some of them looked doubtful, but he pushed through the idea like that of county governments. Many people were against those kind of talks. That time it was Majibo. In fact, even churches, they actually issued statements that this man was out to balkanize the country. Some even saying he wants to define the country so that he can find his way to leadership. Today, those who are opposing that change would defend their counties with the blood. So it's not just that Raila has pursued power for his own sake, like any other politician would do, but he has carried along a body of ideas, a body of progressive ideas that have resonated with the people, and therefore he's been able to keep himself relevant. Unlike other politicians who you cannot exactly tell why they are in politics, except maybe to win position. Some of them just merely because they are backed by their ethnic group. And therefore, the reasoning is that if they are supported by other ethnic groups, they also get the top positions. That is precisely the difference between Raila and these others. It's as simple as that, yes. Because you cannot tell me that somebody like Kalonzo has been in politics for many years. In fact, I think he won his first seat in 1985, if I'm not very wrong. That's a long, long time. Why is it that he's not broken his way into other communities and gotten what we would call acceptance? When you go for somebody like Raila, you are going to find his supporters among the small communities in this country, the Digo, the Kuria, the Teso, the Bajuni, and others. You know, all manner of people, and they are serious supporters. And it's not somebody who supports today and runs away tomorrow. No, it's somebody who is consistent. Okay. So that is not a very easy thing. It's not. It's not something that is achieved by fly-by-night politician. You know. And even when you look at the results, the last general elections, you will see that fact that they support that cuts across all the communities. But this other one, you find they tell us 47% only came from people in Mount Kenya. So you can imagine the other Kenyans, give them the other half. A very serious, a very, very, very serious kind of a situation. Because it would mean clearly that the others are not with them, at least a majority of them. Yes.
Now, you really ask a very important question, which I'll pose it to Mr. G. Mr. G, Kalonzo, as Guru says, I think joined parliament even before some of these people like Ruto and even Raila himself. What do you think has been his challenge, that he hasn't broken the barrier of only being almost a Kamba leader, almost the only person who can say that and a marshal to strength ya one region, hajaweza kugalvanize the entire country, hajaweza kupenya? What could be his shortcomings?
No, Kalonzo is one guy ambaye hajakuwa anajiamini. I think I'll use that word, kujiamini. Because the way he has been behaving, look at what happened to 07. I think he was on the ballot. Yeah, he was in the ballot.
Yes.
But after that announcement ya mtu ambaye ameshinda, what happened? Alichange allegiance mara moja na kaenda kawa upande wa nini, upande wa nani wa Huzi Kibaki, and yet kumbuka kwa ametuambia atapita katikati. So wakati alikuwa anasema atapita katikati, alikuwa anamaanisha nini? There's something that he was talking about. So to me, I think Kalonzo is one guy ambaye hajakuwa na that strong, yani hana ile stand as a man ambaye anafaa awe kama vile Raila huwa anakuwa. You know, Raila is somebody ambaye ukimwambia kesho, kama amekwambia kesho naenda mahali fulani, tuseme he has a meeting pale Uhuru Park, alafu mwambie hautaenda Uhuru Park, Raila is one man ambaye atafika Uhuru Park na atatumia kivyovyote, atofanye nini, atatumia kivyovyote mpaka aende pale. Na wewe kumzuia kufika, utakuwa umetumia, yani utakuwa umestretch sana mpaka umefika limit ya mwisho.
All right, he seems to have fallen, naelewa. But equally, Nguru, I want to come back to you even as they come back. When you look at Raila Odinga, he seems to always have the ability to reprogram, regenerate, and come back with a very different energy. Go back to all his campaigns from the time alikuwa anasema yeye ni Hama, Nyundo, Gwambo, eventually akakuja akaingia NASA. There is a way he has been able to evolve, and each time when you think you're done and dusted with Raila Odinga, he had a way of coming back. From the new crop of leadership, from Kalonzo and others, do we have any of them who can rejuvenate, rekindle, and come back stronger and better? Because each time, as much as ameshindo ama ameanguka kura, the next time he still comes with a strong force that I remember, like in 2017, Uhuru had to seriously do massive campaigns, despite him being a sitting president. The threat from Raila Odinga was not a joke. He's not a pushover. He's not someone you can just assume. Do we have someone who can really come up with such level of or ability to rejuvenate and come back stronger and better?
I don't see it. I don't see it. For now, maybe in the future, but for now, no. Because like I told you, Raila's political capital has been built over very many years.
Okay.
From the trenches to prison and all those trials and tribulations through the various regimes, it's not easy. And you know, it's not that he has been leaving nothing, even as he is presumed to have lost elections or they are stolen, but he always seems to take the politics of this country forward in either changing systems, in changing how we do things. And that is what has kept him going, because right now you can see the just an ad hoc report, which is now currently being debated. It brings some changes in the manner in which the country is administered, if they pass, if those suggested changes pass. And therefore, this is not a person to joke with. There are very rare people who can hold on to ideas and push them through to logical conclusion. In fact, when the history of this country is written, Raila will occupy quite some acres of space as one person who contributed immensely to the formation of modern Kenyan state. You have understood that statement?
Yeah.
Yes, and that is not to say others have not done it, but he has become the father of those changes by the virtue of the fact that he's been able to always regenerate the society. He's been able to challenge. He's been able to challenge the systems and to press for changes. Is that one person who does not sit on laurels and say we are doing well. He will price open the systems and ask whether this is the best that we can do. And for that, he's been relevant and he's going to be relevant for quite some time. I don't see anybody with that capacity, right? And by the way, the other thing about this man is his ability to get to the nitty-gritty of issues. Whenever there have been expose of what is happening, especially to the public resources, Raila has been among the first, which, and I challenge you, this is a question I ask you as a panelist. Which scandal has Kalonzo ever brought to light in this country? Which change has he ever suggested to be done to the manner in which you manage things? You know, these are serious matters. This is why these people, they cannot easily fit in the shoes of this man.
But many would say that Kalonzo has been instrumental in bringing and brokering peace in other countries. He equally was the other day instrumental in bringing to fruition the NADCO report. It's yet to be adopted and to be fully implemented and all, but at least we would say one or two things that he has tried to do. Can that count for something?
I am not saying that he's not done administrative work.
Okay.
Who gave him that work?
Former presidents.
Who?
Like the latest one, I think he was appointed by Raila Odinga to do it, and equally with the blessing of William Ruto.
Exactly.
Yes.
He's just facilitating ideas that are conceived by Raila and his think tank. Okay? He was picked on the basis that they are in partnership in AZIMIO. But I'm asking you, his original thoughts, his original ideas that he has told Kenyans, I think if we go this way, this is the right way. Let us change this, even when it looks a bit skeptical and unreasonable, doubtful. Which change?
Okay.
Societies don't just develop. They have to have catalysts. There have to be catalysts of change, and he's not one of them. Unfortunately, he may do very well, by the way, in administration. I'm not saying he can't, especially allocating people duties and checking what they are doing. Maybe their performance levels and the rest. But in terms of causing fundamental societal changes, no, it scores 0.
Okay.
Yes. He's a good man, by the way. No, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me first finish.
Okay.
Kalonzo is a good man. There is no doubt about that.
Correct.
Good by Kenyan standards. Why? Because we've not heard of all the politicians that we've interacted with, especially at the top there, being associated with corruption, which is a serious matter in this country. So maybe we can say, according to the Kenyan standards, Kalonzo scores very highly as in terms of integrity. Okay? But the question is that enough? You understand? Is that enough? Of course, it is an important aspect of leadership that you have to have integrity, which I dare say the current establishment does not seem to have at all. So on that score, you can't fight Stephen. But then beyond there, politics is not just about being good. It is also about the ability to move the society to the next level by challenging the systems and finding alternatives that are better. And that is where now it scores 0. Because as far as I remember, having the intellect to look at things, I do not remember any one idea of changing this society of ours called Kenya that has been suggested by Kalonzo Musyoka.
Okay.
None.
At one point, Mr. Guru, he had even challenges with his governors, the three of them, Charity Ngilu, Kifuta Kibwana, and then whatever, Mutua, Alfred Mutua. Of course, now eventually he has been able to change that narrative. The three are from Wiper, the three governors now, but still he's yet to come out strong as the person whom even the Kamba community can say something about him. I know you were there when he was the former vice president, when he was a minister, even for education. What is the one thing you can say? These are the things that Kalonzo Musyoka can be said during his tenure as a vice president, during his tenure as a minister. You know, these are the things he has been able to achieve. There are things we can say about Raila Odinga, there are things we can say about other leaders, but what can be said about one Kalonzo Musyoka, developmental wise, or any achievement in a docket he has headed?
First of all, me, I do not subscribe to that notion that has been planted in people's minds, that it is a leader who takes development to the people. And I'll qualify it this way. Do not be cheated that there is any leader who gets his own resources to develop to develop his people. It's about budget. The only thing I can fault Kalonzo for is that he does not seem to have fought hard enough for his people when he was sitting next to Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. He had power then, and because power is about resources and fight for those resources, he does not seem to have fought hard enough to benefit his people. But that's a story of another day. It will also be very unfair if you are to start comparing MPs of the past before CDF came and those one of this generation. Those of that time did not have money. They waited and robbed the president, and his goodwill is what would see a water project done in their area. These ones, you are given money, you go and implement. So you cannot really pin any leader on the fact that this one brought this or the other. I don't think that is the way to look at leadership. And if you look at strictly at what leadership is about, in fact, today I would say the MPs have been violating the separation of powers. They should never implement projects. The implementation of projects is solely the work of the executive. But then that is Kenya where we are. So, but Kalonzo performed very well as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, I hear. And is a good negotiator in terms of peace. You know, everybody has his own strengths. I think that is his strength. I think that's his strength. I do, on terms of economic management, I don't know, but I think the strength is around that area of diplomacy and peace building. Yes.
Now, diplomacy and peace building. That alone, is it enough for him to now take I'm asking that so that we can ask this question. Is that enough, or can that help him build from what he has to what he needs to have, so as to really be the person to kind of carry the mantle. Because by the end of the day, someone, as you kind of rightfully said, someone must step up. And you equally say that leadership is known in crisis. Does he have the wherewithal to come out and really be strong enough to take over? Because by the end of the day, this can be the make or break of both Azimio and some of these leaders, that for quite, as you rightfully said, this will be the defining moment where these guys who have been calling themselves equal partners should come out and maybe um, showcase what they are. But my question that I feel that probably has not been really polished is, in the event it's not Kalonzo, in the event it's not Karua, where can the focus now shift to?
My honest observation is that among the so-called Azimio parties, ODM is the pillar of Azimio.
Mm-hmm.
It is organized, it is purposeful, it has supporters raring to go. These others, you cannot forge for them in a strong sense. You know what is happening to Jubilee? It's there, it's not there. Well, but in recent months, a resurgence seems to be there. We don't know how, to what extent, although it is still remains that there are two factions. We don't know how deep that affects the base, the rank and file. But Wiper is also relatively stable, although you would ask yourself why quite several MPs won their seats in the backyard of Kalonzo with UDA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so what I'm seeing is this: the next leadership, and that's why the insiders of ODM are resisting any endorsements. It is possible that a leadership will emerge from ODM. And they have already said that when that time comes, each will put his cards on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because politics is not choir. And it's about numbers. If you are bringing 2 people and I'm bringing 1,000 people, there is no way I can support you with the 2. Mm-hmm. Because you are not even sure the 1,000 will follow you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kalonzo will have to fight hard to reach that level where he will be acceptable across the board. And like Oburu said, it's not enough to just be tortured by Raila. The people, the supporters, the rank and file have to accept you. So it is not that easy. It's not that easy.
Okay. Now, there is equally another dimension of politics that can come into play, and that is what we call an apathy, where in the event that Raila Odinga chooses to vie for AUC, which he has, and he eventually succeeds and gets that seat, is it a likelihood that some people will be discouraged, and the organic following that he has had might not all simply mean that they will move to the next person, and that equally affect the next subsequent election until maybe that fire is rekindled. That it's almost possible that we might have regions that were voting as a block or in high numbers. We see a reduction in participation, interest in politics, because they might not really be motivated, or may lack someone they feel that probably this is the person that would really replace our former candidate. And eventually a sitting president, or someone who just does enough campaign and gets enough number of people to come out, may simply say through, not that because he's popular, but because the electorate have nothing that drives them to really come out and even vote or participate in politics as we may know it. Because Raila Odinga, as many say, has an organic following. When he calls a rally, he doesn't really need to campaign or to ferry people. People just come. In the event he moves, what happens to the electorate? What do you see? Do you see a likelihood of voter apathy, where voters might not come out, or what might happen, especially in regions perceived to be Raila's stronghold?
By the way, that apathy could cut across the two defines. Already in Mount Kenya, there are quite several people who are saying they will not vote because the kind of propaganda they were fed with has left them totally devastated and do not know whether they can trust anybody else. And the manner in which the politics was approached last time was that finally the poor were to be liberated. But the worst is taking place. So that itself is a problem. But beyond there, also there are those who went to vote in that region because Raila is on the ballot. And they had been made to believe that this is a person who will come to destroy their lives. Now, the life has been destroyed without the presence of Raila. So why will they be motivated to go and vote? Why? On the other side, it is true there are those who go to vote for Raila, the person. And in his absence, they may not find the need to vote. So it cuts across. And by the way, politics is a matter of possibilities. Who tells people that Raila may not go and win the AU position, go through the 2025, go through 2026, and halfway 2027 or early 2027, the vacuum that will be there in this country, especially for who goes for presidency, against the despondency and the frustration that Kenyans will be having. Who tells you that he may not find a niche which will have been justified by his absence and the failure by those he will leave around the likes of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, and that it will become impossible for them to talk otherwise because they will have been unmasked. And then he comes here and runs away with the victory. This is a person you cannot read on the palm of your hand. His political game is a jigsaw puzzle. Don't write out Raila in 2027. he could be in the ballot, but it depends on the prevailing circumstances at the time. In fact, who tells you that it's not Kenyans who will tell him, come, come? And you'll find it completely irresistible, even in the backyard where Kalonzo is coming from. Leave all, it's good in these matters to leave all cards on the table. Don't have a tunnel way of thinking. Maybe this is one of the route that could get him ultimately on his way to Canaan once more.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's come back to some of the interesting things that are developing. There are people who are saying that the exit of Raila Odinga creates a small sail for William Ruto come 2027. Let's begin from there. With the exit of Raila Odinga, does it make it easy for William Ruto?
Yes and no. Yes, because if there is nobody else and Raila completely keeps off the politics of Kenya, Ruto could win with as few as 3 million votes.
Okay.
With a total turnout of 5 million or less. Yes. No, because the next election could also be a rebellion, total rebellion against the Yero party with massive turnouts to express disappointment and discontent. So human nature is that way. You can never really tell on the spur of the moment how it is going to be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, or even 1 year. Politics, one day in politics is a long, long time. And also, don't also forget that time has its own way of sorting out things. Perhaps there's going to emerge somebody who is going to inspire this nation in a manner you have never seen.
And that means you are talking of like a third force emerging?
It's possible. It's possible. You know, although in Kenya it's not known that you can emerge from anywhere and win such a big post, but I'm looking at the current generation of youth. They are restless, they are impatient, they may not always direct but once they make their mind about you, no matter what convincing you may try to give them, if they have shifted, they have shifted. And you know, you've had countries where you have had even DJs winning big. We have had that, was it Madagascar, Rajoelina, and these comedians. So these things sometimes can take a very, and by the way, you can also get a demagogue as well out of the situation. Yes.
It reminds me in Uganda, when Besigye was not there, Bobby Wine came out and he really brought, and the demographic of the youth really shifted politics in Uganda, and it was interesting. And I think that equally can come into play.
And not unless what was used, I think that young man had won that elections. So what I'm saying is this. Why would you think that after suffering for 5 years, people will just foolishly and sheepishly follow someone. To wake up in the morning to go and vote for that person. Is it even natural? That's why I'm saying the vacuum that could be there could even give a another very deserving and undeserving person. Unaona? So, but I believe the fundamentals are on the ground. What needs is activation. Right now, Mount Kenya, I can see the crowds are gathering very fast. Even though in UDA today, they know their political future is threatened. They know the people are seething with anger, and they know that that anger will be directed onto them. And knowing how we play our politics, there are those who want to jump ship before it drowns. It's just a matter of time. So it's going to be a very interesting time. Very interesting. Very interesting. And by the way, they could also reconfigure the whole politics in the country. The new alignments that you've not even thought about. But one sure thing is that the manner in which things are moving, especially in Mount Kenya, and I've given you some certain specific scenarios, there are things that you do to the people of that region, they are sacrilegious. They can't forgive you. When you hit their pockets, when they realize that they are making race and race, you part ways permanently. They don't dwell on any other. You can steal elections, you can do what, but the moment you hit the pocket, kwisha maneno. Yes, very unforgiving.
Now, I saw a tweet from one Robert Alai, and he says that the Luo community, or rather some of the places that are perceived to be Baba's stronghold, they can easily support William Ruto than Kalonzo Musyoka if they were to be put in a contest. Equally, I've read other tweets from many guys saying that William Ruto, if Baba sails through, he will capitalize that he is the one that made Raila Odinga be the chairperson, and equally use it seriously to his advantage. Case in point, immediately after he was, we saw him in Uganda. He was in Hobart Bay, and he talked in an interesting way that many even celebrated how he spoke. With Baba winning AUC, with Baba leaving politics, active politics here in Kenya, do you perceive that William Ruto could equally get a good chunk of people who initially supported Raila Odinga, because maybe they cannot really sail through to support Kalonzo Musyoka? Do you see that a possibility? Because Lai says that it's almost possible that William Ruto can do better in regions perceived to be Raila stronghold than Kalonzo would do. How do you find that argument?
Maybe he has his reasons for saying so. But I'm also sensing a certain type of fatigue from the people of Nyanza. I don't think they'll be enthusiastic anymore to fight for Kenyans. I I am seeing Akrosha. Once once Baba goes, I don't think they will not care whether elections are stolen or not, or whatever happens. If it is akiwa ni kuumia, wacha tuumie zote. After all, nobody is having it better than the other one. You see? So those political engineering, like the ones that have forced NADCO report or negotiations, may not be there in the future, because they need people who are active enough. So Ally could be correct. Maybe those people will start now being hardcore hunters of fortune, as long as a leader has given them what they want. If it's a water project, if it's a road project, if it's a appointment of their daughters and sons, they'll just reconcile themselves and live like any other Kenyan without asking many questions. It can happen. Yeah, it can happen. It can happen because, you know, apart from the fight for multipartyism, where the people, it reached a point where the people of Central Province joined in maandamano. I think they have been made to believe that any other maandamano is a waste. Just people who are just out to destroy the country. I don't think they want to carry that tag anymore. Hata sasa ukiangalia the way they communicate in the social media, wanasema wako sawa. So if they take that thinking, it is possible. But also, you might be underrating the underlying respect and influence that Raila has with that community. They may not want to humiliate him or arrive. So what he tells them, they will still listen to him. You know? Yeah, and so it's an open debate. It's also something that you can wait and see whether it happens. But politics, as it is, it's possible. It's possible what he is saying. It's possible. Yes.
Because this is what he says in a tweet. I think I found it, that let me tell you with a lot of certainty, if Baba is not in the race in 2027 and given between Ruto and Kalonzo, ODM supporters would easily go for Ruto. ODM supporters would trust Ruto over Kalonzo any day. Interesting. This is Robert Alai, an MCA from ODM. Go ahead.
But I must also caution you that what I told you earlier, there are people in ODM who are equally destabilized and are panicking because they owe their positions to the influence of Raila. So the moment he is out of the scene, they will be left exposed to an extent that there is no possibility of them winning a position at all. So I'm expecting such statements not just to come from Arai, but from others.
Okay.
Because if you know, politics is about first it is loyalty unto self. So if they find that a chunk will have to root out their political positions. They will make such statements so that they can see whether they can direct events. Okay? And maybe they say that, or he says that because there's another person they wouldn't want to unveil at this time as an alternative.
Okay.
And that's why I told you the game plan for Baba is not very clear.
Okay.
You cannot be very sure what he has up his sleeve. I have told you here, what if he will go for 2 years and come to fight for presidency? Having exposed the shenanigans of the so-called equal partners.
Now, there is another issue that I want us to discuss that is interesting, and it really made stories huku nje, where we saw UDA leaders, from the Speaker of the National Assembly to MPs like Oscar Sudi, to Mbarasa Didmas, to Ishumwa, the majority leader. They all came out to show their solidarity for Raila being in AUC. But someone here yesterday said that their support probably is not sincere. When you think about it, their support for Raila Odinga, as much as really it doesn't mean much because the person to vote will be William Ruto. What do you make of UDA, people who one time really spoke ill of Raila Odinga, especially during the campaigns, now coming out to say this is the person who should really take the seat? He has Africa at his heart and all. The amount of praise that they were giving, I'm telling you, the adjectives were so many. What do you make of such support coming from UDA? Unmute yourself.
You know, there are matters that reach a point where even if you oppose, you make no sense.
Okay.
So I think this matter has reached that point. And it could also portray you in a bad light. So you are forced to go with the flow of things. And I don't think they are genuine. What they have accepted is the reality. While still some are praying that, okay, he goes and then ruses. Despite those talks you are hearing happening. And I will not be surprised if that is applying on both sides. I've told you the underlying thing here is a selfish political motive. There are those whose trained in politics is the name of Raila Odinga. Without his presence, they are gone. So I don't think most of them are genuine. I don't think so.
Now, to the other elephant that was disturbing, what do you think is the role of Museveni in all this? Because they didn't meet in Kenya. They had to fly all the way to Uganda. I read a tweet from Raila saying that he was invited days back by one Museveni, and equally Ruto had gone there to talk about the G2G fuel issue, and hence it was, to him, he almost made it sound as though it was a coincidence. Do you see it as a coincidence or this was pre-planned? And because the photos really, they're the ones that really brought all this. And it really, those who still had hope that maybe probably Raila would reconsider and not really go for that seat. I think it was the final nail in the coffin or the straw that broke their hearts. Um, what do you make of Uganda and its role? And in any case, Raila Odinga said that the person who even suggested that will nominate him is the Ugandan president. What do you make of him, the president of Uganda? What is his role in all this?
Okay, you are aware that Kenya and Uganda have not been on very good terms over a number of things in recent months. There is the issue of milk, where policies that were put in place apparently to stop powder milk imports hit the farmers of Uganda very hard, because I understand Brookside would buy milk from Ugandan farmers and then process it. And therefore, when that policy was put in place, the farmers, quite a huge number of farmers, were left with milk they couldn't take nowhere. That actually made Museveni very annoyed.
Okay.
Then there is the issue of fuel. The Uganda has taken Kenya to court because Kenya is refusing Uganda to import their fuel direct to bypass what they see as exploitative situation in Kenya by the new oil barons. So here, I think Museveni would quickly embrace Raila because there is nothing really that is the difference between the two men. And sometimes you may call your enemy to straight another one. So what I'm seeing here is a very clever move by one of them. I don't know who took the first step, but Baba says he's the one. Where he went to ask for support, because I understand, by the way, all what Baba needs is at least one of the leaders in East Africa to propose his name. Well, it is essential that you get a backing from your country and your president, but you can also be proposed by a person from the region, because this time I understand the seat should come to East Africa. In other words, Museveni is equally important. So, by seeking Museveni's support first, perhaps it was easier now to coerce softly Ruto to support that move, because it would have looked also very bad. Because, politics, you don't take them at very personal level. You have to let things be when they reach a certain point. So we don't know exactly what is playing in between there, but I would be surprised, because since when Raila announced that you'd want to go for this seat, Ruto remained silent. So what do you think he was thinking in those days? I'm asking you.
Probably these were the things they were planning, because think about it. Obasanjo comes to Kenya, meets Raila differently and Ruto differently, but it is until they go to Uganda that we now see now a photo that they are both together. So he could be silent, yes, but working behind the scenes to bring such, because even in Homa Bay, he stayed clear talking about the issue. That equally really means that maybe he's working something that he doesn't want to speak about it until it matures. Could that equally be a possibility?
Yeah, it could be a possibility. Could be a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, because I understand this seat is elective. You may never know. You might be just sprung another candidate who might just take it away. You know, and I was reading somewhere that the Anglophone countries don't seem to have a problem so far, but the Francophone countries, and especially those with heavy Muslim populations, you cannot be very sure whether they'll go with the choice. So there are many things. There are many things that you may not really tell. I saw somewhere like former foreign affairs minister for Somalia, a lady, has also offered herself. I don't know whether you are aware.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember her name.
Yeah, and some of these things are funny. If the Muslim countries they play the religious cant, anything is possible. So
all right, I see you are equally tired. But the lady you're talking about, I think she's called Fawzia Adams.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you cannot be sure that it's not an opposed. It's something you have to. You just have to fight for.
All right.
So I wish now that won't go to sleep.
Yeah.
I think it's been good talking out these things.
Yeah, it's been fantastic engaging you. It is always fantastic to have you around, Mr. Guru, and I'm equally so grateful for your time and taking this while to explain to us very interesting issues affecting our country.
Thank you.
Asante sana. I hope to see you some other time here in Kenya. But there's something you had raised about the farmers of avocado. It's what I want to play, and then I come back and bring on something else. Now, this is what Mr. Guru has said concerning guys who are complaining or who had issues with what KRA was proposing about avocados in farms. Let's listen into this even as I take a small breather, then I'll be back.
Issued by the Agriculture and Food Authority stipulating the maturity of avocado fruits meant for export in different regions. So according to Okisegere Ojepat, the Chief Executive Officer of the Fresh Produce Consortium, the country could lose upwards of 20% in export volumes should farmers result to holding back their produce. Now, fresh produce exports raked in 157 billion shillings in forex in 2023, with the sector projecting growth in this year's season, which is set to begin in March, noting that there has been an increase in demand for Kenyan produce. They have also urged the government to ensure the stability of the Kenya shilling to ease the pressure on the cost of doing business in the country.
Situation where farmers are going to be scared and we may lose about another 20% of the current production, particularly for Fuete. And 20% for us is a lot. We are not willing to lose fruit. We are the ones who bring the dollar in the country. Last year, we got this country 157 billion shillings in terms of earnings. That's fruits, vegetables, herbs, and spices, and flowers. So if we do well, particularly in our avocado this year, we are seeing ourselves surpass the mark of 160 billion. And that is going to be guided really by how we navigate and how the government is going to be facilitatory. We pray that the dollar will stabilize and that we don't have to go through all these challenges.
But that notwithstanding, I think it's good when you have a stronger currency that supports businesses. I think the high cost of the dollar was not just bad for debt repayment, but even for importation of our raw materials and even the production cost.
All right. All right. So those are some of the sentiments Mr. Guru was talking about, and equally, I was really hoping it was about the KRA, but I'll get that one for you maybe in our next and subsequent coverage here at Kenyan Newslink. But equally, allow me to release Mr. Guru, then I'll bring you the final story that made headlines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 budget process has begun. And of course, Juan Dinyoro, who chairs that budget committee, today made a statement. And that's what we'll be looking at even as we wrap up the show. But equally, consider subscribing to Kenyan Newslink, and let's have you be part of this great and awesome family. Now, before I bring in Din Dinyoro and his report or his analysis on budget making statement policy that he was trying to read today and what he was trying to explain, and the trajectory that 2024-2025 budget process will have and what it will contain, allow me to bring in what we have described as our new segment in all our shows that will always be happening, and that is Health Nuggets with one Debbie. Debbie is equally a partner here at Kenya Newslink, and we are really enjoying her clips and her nuggets on health. And equally, they have really been so nice. I've really gotten very nice reception from you, and equally, you guys have been asking that she may do more. She'll be having another one, I think, tomorrow. But this is what she has done as her first nugget here at Kenya Newslink. Kindly let us watch this, then I'll be back as we wrap it up with what Din Dinyoro said, and then we call it a show. But thank you so much for keeping it Kenya Newslink. Consider subscribing, consider making this your #1 home of online content. Okay, so this is what Debbie has prepared for us, and of course it's all about health. Health equally is a good thing for you. All right, as much as we give you politics, we want equally to give you nice health segments for you. Let's listen in, and then I'll be back to talk about one Din Dinyoro, the budget chair committee person, who had something to say today. Okay, let's listen in to Debbie.
Today, we embark on a journey into the realm of nutrition, unraveling its profound impact on health and well-being. Join us as we delve into the pivotal role of nutrition therapy and the importance of seeking expert guidance from qualified dietitians. At the forefront of modern healthcare lies the integration of nutrition services, a cornerstone in the holistic approach to patient care. From managing chronic conditions to promoting overall wellness, the expertise of dietitians plays a pivotal role in guiding individuals towards optimal health outcomes. First and foremost, let's explore the realm of nutrition therapy. This specialized form of treatment focuses on utilizing food as medicine, tailoring dietary interventions to address specific health concerns. Whether it's managing diabetes, hypertension, or obesity, nutrition therapy offers personalized strategies to support patients on their journey towards improved health. Diabetic Nutrition Services Consultation stands as a beacon of hope for individuals grappling with the complexities of managing blood sugar levels. through comprehensive assessments and individualized meal planning. Dietitians empower patients to make informed choices that promote glycemic control and overall well-being. Nutrition counseling and education serve as invaluable resources for those seeking to cultivate healthier lifestyles. By addressing dietary habits, nutritional deficiencies, and behavior patterns, dietitians equip individuals with the knowledge and tools needed to make sustainable changes for long-term health. Hypertension consultation forms another crucial aspect of nutrition services, offering tailored dietary recommendations to manage blood pressure and reduce cardiovascular risk. Through strategic modifications to sodium intake, fluid balance, and nutrient-rich food choices, patients can achieve better blood pressure control and improve heart health. Weight management emerges as a multifaceted endeavor encompassing dietary interventions, physical activity, and behavioral modification. Under the guidance of skilled dietitians, individuals embark on a journey towards sustainable weight loss, fostering habits that promote long-term success and overall well-being. Children's nutrition holds a special place in the realm of healthcare, laying the foundation for lifelong health and vitality. Through specialized pediatric nutrition services, dietitians address the unique nutritional needs of growing children, fostering healthy eating habits and supporting optimal growth and development. Lastly, nutrition supplementation serves as a valuable adjunct to dietary interventions, providing essential nutrients that may be lacking in the diet or required for specific health conditions. Under the guidance of dietitians, patients can navigate the complex landscape of supplements, ensuring safe and effective integration into their overall wellness regimen. As we conclude our exploration into the vital role of nutrition services, I encourage you to prioritize your health and well-being by seeking guidance from qualified dietitians. Remember, your journey towards optimal health begins with informed choices and expert support. Stay tuned for more insightful content from Medifort Hospital Limited, where your health is our priority.
All right, thank you so much, Debbie, for that fantastic health nugget that you have shared. Thank you very, very much for you who has stayed with us ever since we started, like 3 hours ago. Asante sana. But I cannot just leave you like that. I want to leave you with a short video from one Dende Nyoro. Now, Dende Nyoro heads the budget committee, and today they had a presser. And equally, they were able to bring out what we should expect in this year's budget making process that has already kicked off, and equally what you should anticipate come the end of this financial year and the start of the next financial year, what you anticipate, what you should get to know. And he really brought out a lot that informs the video I'm about to play. Now, he says that it's true the dollar has come down. It's true that the shilling has gained some strength compared to the dollar. But he says that that hasn't really affected Mwananchi, and Mwananchi is yet to really feel the impact of the dollar, or rather of the shilling strengthening. The Mwananchi hasn't felt the growth, as he says, of the economy. So it's slightly a lengthier footage, but I want you to listen in, because therein lies what will inform the budget, because this is how it will start before we head to what they will call the finance bill that as it caused some serious debate in the country last year. I don't know which form of debate this one will bring, but it will be interesting to see how they bring into play some of the things that they said last year about the current budget, and what became a very challenging time for Kenya Kwanza, especially the housing levy and all. So the process has begun again. I'm sure they'll have very new measures, very new ideas. The housing bill, I don't know how it will now be featured again. Attorney General Muturi equally has told KRA to stop with asking, or rather collecting, the housing levy. That one equally has come out. So that is something that featured in the last what do you call it, in the last financial bill. So this is a new one. This is a new what do you call it, this is a new finance bill, the second one for William Ruto, and it will equally inform us of a lot. It will really make politics, it will really bring in a lot. But this is what Attorney General Justin Muturi has warned the KRA bosses, Humphrey Wataga, against deducting housing levy, because the courts already have declared themselves, or rather pronounced themselves in this matter. Okay, so that is something that we'll be looking out to, and equally the making of the second budget for William Ruto. Let's listen into this. But let me equally wish you a fantastic day, a fantastic morning. I'll be back in the morning with another edition, so please kindly subscribe to Kenya Newslink to get such form of shows. Subscribe and let us grow together. Asante sana. I'm sure you have subscribed to Mtembei. I'm sure you have followed Mtembei on Facebook, but kindly do us just one simple gesture by subscribing equally to Kenya Newslink, and let us really be the ones as well to inform you and to give you enough entertainment, just like we have done tonight. Asante sana for making us your number one show for such content. Tunashukuru sana, we don't take it lightly. Asante for the growth that you have given Kenya Newslink. We are just but amazed by you. After Dindi Nyoro is through, I'll definitely give you a song, and I will definitely help you enjoy this show as we normally do. Thank you so much. I've been your host, Jex, the moderator. See you in the morning with another fantastic show. Asante sana to the comment people who have always been there with us, commenting throughout. I see Goodyear Kondani, asante. Josiah, I see you. Asante sana. Godfrey Ruto, asante. Mohamed Ege, I see you. Asante sana. Na wengi ambao mumetuma ujumbe. Josiah sijafunga mapema is because I still have another show in the morning where we'll be looking at the newspapers. We'll be looking at news that made equally headlines and other things that came up. All right. So see you in the morning at 9 a.m. Kenyan time. I don't know what time that will be in your country, but whatever time that will be, make sure you hit the notification bell so that when Jakes is on, pop, you are on with me. Okay, that only happens when you hit the subscription and the notification bell, so that usipitwe na show kama hii. Asante sana kwa wale ambao mmetuni, na asante pia kwa wale ambao mmetufuatilia kwa comment section. Asante sana kwa wale ambao mmetucheki pia, thank you very much. To the panelists, Akina Alex, Mr. Guru, Mr. G, and SG, and everyone else who made time for this show. Asante. Asante sana. I've been your host, Jake, the moderator. See you in the morning. All right. Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice one. Goodbye.
And I want to thank the members of the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the National Assembly who are just right here. We are a committee of 27 members from across the political divide, because budget making process, we make the budget for our country, and therefore It is a committee that is very compact, as you can see, with very able members of parliament. I also want to thank our brothers and sisters who are also here in this room from the media. The work we do as representatives of the people would be handicapped a great deal without the collaboration that we always have with the media, not specifically to report what we want, but to report what is there. And we want to commend you for always being very forthright in communicating to the people of Kenya what is there, whether it is convenient for us or not, because that is how a strong modern state should operate. We called you here because we are in the process of making our budget for the financial year 2024-2025. The budget that gets ready in June starts its work pretty earlier. The budget that starts to operate in July 1st starts to be made the previous year way before. This budget that we are making started its process in the last calendar year. Should have been around November, where the country is divided into 10 sectors. Those compact sectors which are related then go to something we call sector working groups, where they start now sharing the resources that are there in an objective manner. We then actually have public participation of the Kenyan people coming together to, or coming around the table to give their views. That we already did. But the process of public participation doesn't end there, because even tomorrow we'll be meeting key stakeholders in the budget making process. Just the same thing we did actually on Monday, so that we enrich the process by benefiting from the experiences and knowledge of Kenyans whom this budget belongs to. The budget, what we are doing now in this, or what we'll be doing in this week, and hopefully to conclude next week on Wednesday, when we eventually table this report on the floor and pass it, is something we call BPS. BPS is Budget Policy Statement, which highlights the policies of government, but also with commensurate ceilings of expenditure, so that that expenditure then, the ceilings, will inform the estimates that we'll be working on around April. So it's a very important process, because the budget that will eventually be read is the figures that we are discussing today. This budget that we are doing is a budget of 4.143 trillion shillings. And being a budget of 4.143 trillion shillings, we are envisioning to raise this money from ordinary revenue, which are basically taxes, to a tune of 2.94 trillion shillings. After that, we envision to have what we call CFS. CFS, what we call A in A, sorry. A in A, let me just repeat, that the ordinary revenue will be around 2.94 trillion shillings, which is the ordinary revenue that we raise in terms of taxes. Number two is something we call A in A. Appropriations in A is around 486 billion shillings. A in A is the monies that the government collects after offering service through various MDAs. For example, when you pay a university which is public school fees, that school fees becomes A in A for that MDA. We also expect grants of around 49 billion. And lastly, then if you add the math, you'll see that for it to add up to 4.143 trillion, then there is a gap of 703 billion shillings. And that is what is the deficit for this financial year. That is on the revenue side. On the expenditure side, we have had a slight increase in development expenditure, which now stands at around 853.9 billion shillings. As usual, the current expenditure for the executive is also quite high, which is around 2.511 trillion shillings. And this expenditure incorporate also the judiciary and the legislature, which is parliament or bunge. And then from there, we'll be giving our counties also quite substantially, around 391 billion shillings. And then we have something we call CFS, Consolidated Fund Services, which this year we have increased to among the highest figures we've ever given, to over 1.2 trillion Kenya shillings. The reason we are doing this is because we also want to continue offsetting our debts in a timely manner so that the stability of our country in terms of the macros can be guaranteed. Just a side thing I want to say about the deficit. The deficit of this financial year is climbing down. You remember, if you check the books, the current budget that we're implementing for 23-24 financial year had a deficit of around 886 billion shillings. That is on the current revised printed budget after the supplementary. We are bringing that much lower to 703. And the critical part, which I'm very proud of for this committee, is that the last deficit to GDP ratio of this country was 5.5%. The current one we are defending meaning we are working against, is 3.9%. That is quite modest, and especially it's quite manageable, and especially if you look at our peers, both in the emerging economies and in the developing economies, and all the economies in the southern part. And therefore, this is very commendable that we are continuing to lessen our appetite for debt budgeting, and eventually, I am sure at some point, we will be able to reach a balanced budget where we rely squarely on our resources. Some of the key highlights, maybe just to mention, is that the budget, if you look at the last supplementary and the current, we have just marginally increased our budget, marginally. If you look at the expenditures in the previous times, the budget usually goes up by a double digit. But if you look at this time, the budget is growing very marginally, because we do not want to read budgets that then remain in books. We want to do a budget that actually gets implemented. And that is why we are looking inwards to manage our expenditure so that the budgeted expenditure actually happens. In the previous past, we have seen robust budgets being read, but eventually what gets implemented is a percentage of that, and especially due to exchequer problems. And that is why the approach for this year is fiscal consolidation, so that we do a real budget, a budget that reflects the revenue that we anticipate to get, so that eventually it actually gets implemented. Some of the issues, we are adding money into health, we are adding money into very few sectors this time, because as I said, we are doing fiscal consolidation. We are adding 9 billion shillings to health sector, basically because that is an area that is very critical to us. We are also adding some resources into environment, and we are adding resources to other critical areas around better or bottom-up economic transformation agenda. If you look, there are some budgets, and I have also seen you have captured them in your outlets. There are also some budgets that we have rationalized because of the situation and also the absorption. That is why you see in some areas the budget has slightly gone lower, but doesn't mean that those areas do not need resources. Those areas need resources, but we are trying to moderate because we are working against a deficit that is we must look and work against. As I come to the close, I want to thank the members of this committee and all the members of parliament. Out of the policies that we continue to make, including the policies we made last year, and especially given the fact that budget actually becomes law, so it's also a policy. Our country, Kenya, I know there is room for improvement in terms of the economy. But the truth of the matter is that Kenya last year out of the budget that we made and the other policies of government, Kenya grew by around 5.6% last financial year. Actually, last calendar year, sorry. And therefore, that made Kenya among the 28 fastest growing economies in the world. It doesn't mean we are just stamping and we are saying things are very good. It means at least the policies we put in place are bearing fruit. But also that then calls us to do even more. Why? I shouldn't be telling Kenyans that GDP grew. Kenyans should be feeling it in their pockets. And that is the exact thing that we are doing in this budget, to reallocate our resources in areas that you guarantee Kenyans shared prosperity, where most of the Kenyans will actually feel the growth. I want to assure Kenyans that is why we are here for a week. We'll be here next week because the policies we are making, we want the farmers of this country to feel the economy, those with small businesses to feel the economic growth, so that this eventually translates into shared prosperity. Lastly, I also want to say that we have seen some quite improvement in our currency. I'm saying these things because they are all related to the budget. As we are aware, our shilling is now doing very well in comparative to the other world currencies. And we expect it to do further, better further. We are expecting some inflows. We have seen increment in remittances. There are some resources we are expecting from our development partners, and we are sure that Kenya shillings will continue to gain ground. Because once we let our Kenya shilling actually operate on the basis of market forces of demand and supply, then the country do not need to use any expenditure in stabilizing our currency. Those resources that we then put as reserves can actually be expended to other areas. And that is why market economy, or a perfectly competitive economy, in all the markets, the market of money, the market of interest rates, the market of commodities and services, always works for an efficient economy. Efficient markets generally and ultimately brings efficiencies to the economy. And I am happy that across all those markets, things are doing well. Inflation is doing well. In terms of now, we are at 6.6%. The last reported, our currency is gaining ground. These things happen because of good policies, some of which I'm proud that this Budget and Appropriations Committee is at the center of those policies. Kuna any clarification? Question. Yes. Na tukifanya hayo ni vizuri tuseme tumesikia kilio cha Wakenya wengi ambao wamepata kazi kutoka huko nje. Na wakipata kazi inakuwa ni shida sana kupata passport. Na katika hii process tunafanya tumeongeza shilingi bilioni 3 katika immigration services kwa sababu tunataka wakuwe up to date with the equipment they need, kwa sababu tunataka passports za Wakenya zikuwe processed in time so that they can take advantage of the many opportunities that a passport is integral to. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is John.
Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri, Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri, Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Kweli twaenda mbio, eko kote Kenya. tunayoipenda.